Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So today we have a special guest, the Warrior Queen Speaks. And instead of me introducing her, I'd like her to introduce herself, tell you all a little bit about her channel and her purpose here on YouTube. So with that, we'll start. And again, I want to thank you for agreeing to join this Google Hangout. I truly appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Hello, everyone. Of course, my name is Warrior Queen Speaks. My real name is Constance, and the purpose of me being on YouTube is to spread love and light. There were a lot of times in my life where I didn't have encouragement or someone just to give me a word that I needed to kind of like push me along or make me think and examine my life. So I'm here to do that. I'm here to spread love. So that's genuinely the purpose. You'll see testimonies. You'll see other people sharing their testimonies in the future. So that's what it's about.
Oh, that's great. And that's one of the things that I really admire about your channel is like the positive energy, like the motivational talks that you give. You know, that's something, unfortunately, that's rare on YouTube. So like, it's really refreshing to go to your channel, and it's great to listen to your content. You know, it's like a breath of fresh air in an environment that's very toxic, unfortunately.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but so we're here because we're going to talk about relationships, what Black women want and expect from Black men. Mm-hmm. And really, you inspired me to go ahead and do this because you recommended that we talk about relationships. Yeah. And that's something that I talk about from time to time. And the reason why it's so important is because without strong relationships, you don't have strong family. And without a strong family, you don't have a strong community. So I want to just start off with some background information. Like, how does your religion shape your view or approach to relationships?
For me, I don't serve a religion. I think some people, if you come to my channel, you might say that I'm a religious person, or some people might say I'm not religious enough. I try not to put myself in a box. I am a believer of the Most High. I am a believer of the Bible. I am a believer that you should review the word through the Holy Spirit. And I believe because I am a believer, it shapes my morals, it shapes the way that I think, it shapes my outlook on life. And in terms, that affects every aspect of my life, just not a relationship with my potential mate. But I believe that because of my beliefs, it's going to allow me to open up myself to someone that will be a blessing to my life ultimately.
Okay.
I hope I answered your question.
Oh yeah, that's a great answer. So like we can start from the beginning. So the first thing, you know, that I want to know is like, what kind of traits do you look for in a man? Like when I don't know, like your relationship status or anything like that, but what are the traits that you look for in a man? Like if you want a quality relationship, what kind of man are you looking for?
Right now I'm single, and I'm not a person that perceives myself as looking. I believe that I'll be found, but I'm out there doing what I'm supposed to do in the midst. But what I like about men, I like someone who's confident. I like someone who is, of course, a believer in the Most High, because I believe if you have a strong foundation in the Lord, then you will be able to, of course, be good to me, but not just someone on the surface that maybe have a religious relationship, but someone who has a genuine relationship. So I like confidence, strength, humility, and this person may be someone that's strong and powerful, but they know how to deal with someone who's delicate. So I look for that, and someone who can meet me where I'm at, that doesn't necessarily want me to be where he's at, but he can meet me where I'm at. So I can stay in my place as a woman, and he can, of course, stay in his place as a man.
Now, when you say like stay in your place as a woman and stay in his place as a man, like what do you mean? Like that brings me to the next question. Like, what do you see the role of the man being in a relationship and the role of the woman in a relationship?
I honestly believe that the man is the head of the relationship. So that's my point. Like if he is, like I said, if he's a follower of the Lord, he's the head. So to me, he makes the final decisions, but we make decisions together. But I look to him as a leader, and I consider myself to, whenever I do settle down, to be a helpmate to my husband. So we can balance these things out. He can be the strong, fearless leader, and I can be a help. I'm also going to be doing my own things as well. But I just believe that it's good for me to stay in my place and not like, I know that sounds weird, but I believe in kind of like traditional. So for me to, of course, be cooking, cleaning, but also doing the things that I love, like my art, my poetry. But I know that he's my protector. That's what I mean. I know that he is my provider also. Of course, I work or whatever as well, but you know what that's what I mean. You get what I'm saying, right?
Right. I understand.
I
Yeah.
don't mean that I think that a man should be bossing me around and telling me what to do. But if you have a strong leader and you have someone who can meet you where you're at, there's a good chance that there's going to be balance in that relationship. Because as you understand that we play, as women and men, we play different roles. So what is your thought process on that question?
I have similar views about it. But I also, I believe that as well that, men and women should, have a partnership where they, mutually consult each other in important decisions. But I do believe that the man should be a provider and maintainer of the household, of the house and the community. I really think that the man should take a leadership role in society. And unfortunately, often that's not the case in a lot of our communities. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you this.
I want to say something. When I said that earlier, I didn't mean to say a man is going to be bossing me around or anything. Right. I wanted to clarify that. Not somebody that's going to tell me whatever, you go here, Constance, you go there. But he has his place, and I have my place as a woman. It doesn't mean that his place is higher than mine. It just means that we equally understand that we have two different roles that we're playing, but we can come together mutually and make this thing work. That's what I'm saying. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, yeah, because a lot of people will get it misconstrued and everything. So do you get a lot of pushback from women when you take this traditional type of stance about the roles of men and women in relationships?
No, I don't think I get a lot of pushback from women. It's not really something that I typically, I guess, discuss a lot. But everybody has their own perspective on what works in their relationship. I just want to kind of stand by what I believe what will work for me. I think a lot of people, I think you mentioned, you were talking about feminism. A lot of people think that, because of education and certain things, they don't want to play a certain role. And I think that has kind of had an effect on relationships overall. But no, I don't have problems with friends, and a lot of my friends honestly kind of have similar views to me. So.
All right. So what about I know your friends probably have those kind of views, but what about do you have these kind of discussions with coworkers or people that are outside of your faith community or just others about their perspectives? Because there are a lot of people that may say, well, that's an old-fashioned, concept.
Well, when you talk about coworkers, my coworkers are a little wild, so they're a little eccentric, a little bit. So some of their perspectives are way off. They would believe in polygamy and all those kind of things like that. I never really gave it too much thought because it's not something that I'm really discussing on a regular basis. When we talk about relationships at my job, we often talk about cheating. We often talk about, would you be with someone that's completely different from you? Or would you be with someone, could you be with someone for love versus money? So those are the kind of things that come up.
Okay, I'm going to send this link to Nellie. She expressed an interest in joining the panel. So I'm going to send her a link. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So in your experience, like you mentioned the traits that you look for in a man, like have you found like any kind of difficulty in finding men that meet that kind of standard, you know, that have those kind of traits or have those characteristics and have the same concept of the role of the man and the woman in relationships?
I would say, I guess, yeah, because I'm single. but but yeah, but I just also think everything happens and is timing. You know, for me, like I can speak to my last relationship. Me and my last boyfriend were completely different. He had similar views to me, but I realized he was a little bit overbearing and a little bit controlling. But I do believe this is the thing. For me, I believe that as long as I continue to work on myself, as long as I continue to build what I'm supposed to build, this person that I'm supposed to be with will come along in due time. So I'm really more so focused on, because I don't have no control over it. Could you, you know, like, do you think that you have, well, you're a man, so you can of course pick your mate. So what's your perspective?
About like, you mean like in terms of just about like how the challenges of women meeting the right man, or
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I mean, there are a lot of situations that may create problems. Like, first of all, like you have a large number of men that are incarcerated in the Black community. You have, you know, so that's one thing. You know, a lot of men are taken out because of incarceration. And then you also have other problems in the community. You have like some people that may not be in a position to be a provider, you know, due to economic conditions and all that kind of stuff. So there's a wide range of things that diminish like some of the numbers of men that would be quote unquote marriageable material and all that kind of stuff. But so there are some real challenges that like educated women may face in terms of finding, you know, a suitable mate. And then, you know, but I do think that there are a lot of quality men that, you know, are looking for good women. But for some reason, like those, sometimes, you know, good men may be looked over. Like sometimes, you know, women may have different standards, or they may, like some women anyway, they may have superficial standards where they put certain characteristics over, you know, someone's personality or their character traits or their values and all that kind of stuff. So they may be more interested in like the man's salary, you know, him earning a great deal of money, or other traits like him being a certain height or having certain characteristics. So that's the case for some women, but for other women, it may not be the case. Hold on one second. I'm just trying to send this email real quick. Just bear with me a second.
Okay.
Hold on one second. Sorry about this. Let's see what's going on. One second, folks. Just bear with me. Oh, so Nellie B, I tried to send the email to you, but your email address it says wrong email address. So maybe it's the spacing or some characters out of place. So if you all could, you know, so if you could just repost your email address, I'll try to send you that link so that you can join the discussion.
You brought up a lot of good points just now. I wasn't really thinking about it like in terms of that. But, you know, I think environment has something to do with it. And I think I really love when you touched on the fact of the good person being kind of hidden. Like a lot of women look at a certain man as like lame or boring or something like that. I really think about that because what I think too, what separates us is that those good people are hidden. We tend to see on social media, you know, people who want a whole lot of attention, but you don't see enough of that positivity. So I think that's a point. It's just like, how do, I don't know. I guess my question is, there are a lot of, I know that there's a lot of good men out there, but how do the good men and the good women interact or get to know each other? How do they break past those barriers that you just spoke about?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I think that part of it is like the environment that people are in. Like if you're in the right environment, it's going to be more conducive to finding those kind of people.
That's true.
And also, I think that sometimes people have to step outside of their comfort zone. Like a lot of times people are, you know, they say, well, I only date this kind of person. I only date that kind of person. You know, I think that sometimes we have to break out of these superficial standards that we have a lot of times to open ourselves up to opportunities. We need to put ourselves in the right environment so that we can meet the right people. So if you're like a religious person, I mean, I think that the best place to meet somebody would probably be in a religious environment, like either like at a church or at some religious event or something like that.
I don't believe that.
Okay, so tell me why you...
I don't believe that the best place to meet somebody is the church. I just really don't believe that. I don't know. I mean, I know that there's a lot of things that I'm unlearning, but I feel like that's just not a good, necessarily the best place to necessarily meet a mate. And I think, like you said, taking yourself outside that box and going different places. And I also just being in environments, doing things that you love. Oh, Nellie's on. Necessarily meet a mate. And I think.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
Yourself outside that.
All right, so Nellie, you got to turn your volume down on YouTube.
Okay.
So that way.
Can you hear me?
Oh, so go ahead.
Am I echoing?
No, no, you're not echoing now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Is it an echo?
No, we don't hear echo. I don't think so.
Okay. All right. No problem.
So, all right. So you were saying, Constance, you can go on and make your point, and then I'll hear from Nellie. I want to hear what she has to say about some of the things we said so far.
Nellie, what do you think? I don't think church is a good place to meet a man.
I think it's either or. I think it's all about if you find somebody compatible in a church, it can happen. But you know, I hear. Hold on, I might be looking at the wrong screen. I gotta go on a different page. I think it is possible. But I think there are predators. I hear that men actually go to church because they feel like, you know, the woman is desperate, or it's a lot of women, a surplus of women. So I think it all depends on the type of guy. Like if a guy don't usually go to church and then all of a sudden he's popping up in church and he's more focused on getting with somebody, then I think that might be a red flag. You know. So if he's there kind of doing his own thing and, you know, he loved the Lord or whatever, and then he just happened to notice you, then I think that's a good sign that he might be sincere.
Yeah.
Versus some thug coming up in church all of a sudden and smelling like cigarette smoke and weed, and then, you know, so. But I think if he already, you know, is into the church and he already, you know, doing his thing in the church, then it might be more of a sincere thing. That's my opinion.
I haven't experienced it. When I go to church, there's not a lot of single men in the church. There's a lot of married men in the church. There's a lot of, you know, there's just not a lot of variety of single men. That I guess, and that, well, I can only limit it to the environments that I've been a part of. That's why I kind of said that I don't know if that's necessarily the best place to meet someone.
Okay. Yeah, so I want to back up, like, because Lashid just joined and Nellie has joined the conversation. So we started off by like asking you all like what traits do you all look for a man and for a man, and how do you define the roles of men and women in relationships? So I want to start off by asking Nellie and Lashid for you to provide their feedback on that topic. Like, number one, like what traits do you look for in a man? Number two, what's the role of the man in a relationship? What's the role of the woman in a relationship?
Oh, shoot. You want to go, Lashid?
Oh, okay. Well, first, let me say, can you guys hear me? Is it
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Let me first say, peace, blessings, everyone. How you doing, Disa, Jardine? What I'm basically what I look for in a man, or what I've looked for in a man is being that, as y'all know, I'm a person who I do believe the Bible to be the truth. So, and I do believe in men as being God-appointed leaders. So I look for, like, if I'm to follow a patriarch, I look for the P's, for a man to provide, to understand his role, and not to take advantage of that, or to not to abuse that, and understanding the P's of being a patriarch, and that's to protect and provide, understand his primary role as a man. And so that's, we got to start with that. Not just looking for a nice guy, you know what I'm saying? It's nice to be nice, but understand the primary role as father and as leader of the head of the household and family. So.
All right. Well, Nellie, what do you think about that? What's your
I somewhat feel the same way. I feel, well, what I want, or what I would be looking for in a man if I was like really looking, the basics, like him treating me with respect, him being into me for real. And I would like for him to have the basics, like, have income. And I would say work, but you could still have income without working. You can be retired, He has income. He has like a car, like the basic practical things in life, because, I did the love stuff. I did, we in love, and this is going to carry the relationship. So he does need to have practical things. He doesn't necessarily have to be rich or a baller, just, again, enough to, live off of comfortably. And as far as the role as a man, I feel the same way. I feel like he should be able to, protect and provide for you the best way he can. As far as submission and all that, I will submit to a man. I don't have any problem with that. Believe it or not, I know my videos don't seem like it, but I actually don't have no problem submitting to a man as long as he has proven himself to be worth submitting to. Like, he can't be irresponsible, just thinking about himself, being selfish, and then all of a sudden come home and expect me to submit. I got to know it's a we thing. And as far as a woman's role, the same way. I don't know if I haven't really had a relationship in a while, but I kind of believe in old-fashioned roles where the woman kind of hold the house down while the man, provide, but by the roles being different now, by both parties working, it might have to be a little bit more equal. The man might have to help out every now and then around the house. It all depends whether we have kids or not, things of that nature. So, but if it was the olden days, I kind of feel like the woman should be able to, hold down the house, but times are changing. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. But yeah, a man has to be worth submitting to. I will submit to a man that's worthy of my submission. All right.
Now, what makes him? I guess some of the traits you discussed are like what would make him worthy. But could you spell, like, are there other things that would make him worthy of you submitting to him? Like, it's hard for me to imagine you submitting to a man, really.
Because you probably have an image of me bowed down at his knee. No, that's why it's hard to imagine. No, I'm just saying, I would take, like if it came to decision making, or if he wanted to make a big decision, like a business move or something like that, if I knew he was responsible, like I would move where he, you know, let's say he had a job and he needed to move, you know, move to a different state. I will do that if I know that he's the type of guy that is responsible. Right. That's kind of what I mean by submitting, kind of following him, as long as I know that, again, that he's responsible and that he got both of us in mind and not just himself.
Right.
You know, so that's what I kind of mean by submitting, not me being, you know, like a servant, like I'm just bowing down, like whatever you want, honey. It's not like that type of thing. It's knowing that it's just knowing that he's responsible and that I can trust him on making decisions. Because believe it or not, you know, it's a rumor going on that, you know, we want to, like, Black women want to wear the pants in the relationship and we pick these simps because we want to rule over everything. I don't know about you. Most of the women that I know, they want a break. They want to be able to mentally take a break and not always be the one. You know, I don't. Right. I don't. Like on my own, I always got to make decisions. So I wouldn't want to get married and still have to always make decisions. I want to be able to take a break and know that everything is going to be all right. I mean, that's just me. Now, maybe it is some other women out there that's like, well, I want to run the show no matter what. No, I want to take a break. And most of the women that I know, they don't want all this load and responsibility and got to take care of the kids and got to make sure that the husband is doing right and got to babysit a boyfriend. I don't want to do that. So that's all. But yeah, submission. No, I don't mean submission as me, you know, bowing. I do maybe role play, but not, I won't bow down in real life. Bow down. All right, let me stop talking like that. Y'all go ahead and go on.
Yeah, that's how stuff been twisted.
So earlier we were talking about like the challenges of trying to meet that kind of man, that meets all your expectations and it has all the traits that you want. So Nellie and Lashid, I know that Lashid's married, but like in the past, like have you had like difficulties or, for Nellie, like what have been your challenges in terms of meeting the kind of man that you're describing right now? Like what's made that process difficult or challenging?
I wasn't expecting that question. I guess for me, it just seemed like I haven't been bumping into guys that really wanted anything serious. Like they would just basically want to do the dating thing and I guess Netflix and chill. I don't know what they doing now, but it seemed like when I talk to guys, when I talk to men, it just seemed like they're not really saying anything, or I can tell that they're probably juggling me along with somebody else because one minute they're giving me feedback and calling and then it gets slower and slower and slower and then it gets dry. So, it just seemed like I said, I'm the type, I don't chase. I don't do chasing. I don't chase men. So once I feel like they're putting me in chase mode, then I give up. So I kind of go off of their energy. If they're interested in me and they're showing enthusiasm, then I'm right there with them. But once they start, being like going on lazy dates and not really wanting to do nothing or not trying to put effort into court and just wanting to kind of lay around the house or just always come to my apartment and, let's just watch a Netflix movie. It's like, okay, well, I don't feel that he's really trying to impress me. Maybe he's juggling other women. So that's just me. Once I feel like the enthusiasm isn't there, then I get bored. And then eventually I just cut it off. But a while ago was a man, he was too enthusiastic where he was calling me all like 50,000 times. I don't know if you remember that video, but it was this guy. He was an older man and he was like constantly calling me.
Yeah, I remember that video.
Yeah, that could be a red flag too. I don't want nobody crowding me either. Give me my space. I don't need 50 calls in a row, but I do want a guy to show some enthusiasm without stalking me. All right.
Well, it's like when we talk about how there's all this talk about how Black women love thugs, and like I've said, all women have been accused of wanting the bad boy. Okay, like I said, there was the song you heard in Bachelor Party with the girl band, and they were singing "Why Do Good Girls Like Bad Boys?" And then, you know, what I was talking about earlier with like when I shared some of that documentary with the Asian women talking about why they prefer white guys, and it was these very, very superficial reasons. Oh, they like to have fun, they like to party, they're taller. And so all women can be accused of this, but I think particularly with Black women, like for instance, a lot of Black women, like my mother, they say they like a guy with a sense of humor. And see, the thing is, a sense of humor, a guy who's, you know, open, you know, funny and open, that like shows assertiveness. You know what I'm saying? Women do not, it's like a lot of these guys, the ones, for instance, in YouTube who are claiming to be the nice guys. You know, they're nice guys, but they are the main ones up in here who are like talking shit about Black women, saying the ugliest stuff, but they're the nice guys. And see, the thing is, I'm not gonna lie, like for instance, when I got pregnant, the main ones who were concerned about me and who looked, they were the ones who you would consider the bad boys, the thugs. Now, my husband is who you would call, what you would consider, some would think of him as a computer geek, an anime gamer, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a thing of me, I prefer bad boys. But I think, especially if you don't have a strong male figure in your life, a natural woman is going to yearn for someone to protect her. And so the thing is that guy who some want to see as the bad boy, he shows a certain assertiveness, just like that guy with a sense of humor. The problem is we got to understand the difference between being assertive and being aggressive. You know, that's where we get it confused, especially if you don't really have that a strong male figure in your life. And then some people, they get it confused on what it means to submit, just like what Nellie was pointing out, how some of us get it twisted. And just like there are some men, they really don't understand what a patriarch, or they don't understand really what that really means or stands for. What, you know, the responsibilities of a patriarch. It's like they're abusing these terms like feminist and, you know.
Yeah, it's, you made a lot of great points. I was going to bring up this issue of like the bad boy question. Like you often hear it, like you said, on YouTube, that Black women, prefer these bad boys and all this and that. And like, that's part of the reason why we had these out of wedlock births and all that kind of stuff. And, part of the reason why some women complain about not being able to find a good man, because often, according to these YouTube personalities, a lot of Black women pursue the quote unquote bad boy that doesn't, have good intentions, is not a provider, not, the kind of man, a woman should try to be with. So I want to hear from the others, like, what do you think about this? Like, do you think there's some kind of validity to this point about women being attracted to quote unquote bad boys and not feeling these so-called educated lames, as people have described them?
For me, I think it's just a matter of maturity. When I was in high school and when I was in college, I thought that was cool. I thought that was something that I wanted to do. And then I was more so thinking out of the flesh instead of really focusing on the Most High. But now that I'm older and in my 30s and I'm maturing and I still have a lot more maturing to do, I realize it's not so much about the things that are on the surface of a person, but it's about the heart, how responsible this person is, how they're taking care of their finances. So for me, I don't look at somebody as lame, because I like to learn. I like someone that can show me something different about life. So I don't look at, now that I'm older, I try not to look at the surface. I try not to look at things that could potentially be a negative in the future. Because I think that when you're looking at it in terms of like, I want a bad boy, you're really focused on something that's short term. Mm-hmm. And I think where I'm at in my life right now, I would be open to something that someone I can grow with. And someone you can grow with is not necessarily always, for me, I don't think is that bad boy. But I don't know. Y'all get what I'm trying to say. The
Yeah.
mature, when you mature in life, you want something better for yourself so you can build a future. That's what I'm essentially trying to say.
Right.
Yeah. As far as the so-called women wanting bad boys, like I said, I don't necessarily say, I'm not necessarily saying that never happens. Of course, you know, it's guys that like bad girls. They like the
yeah, I know some.
That's true.
like the Rihannas, you know. I was in one situation where I kind of thought this guy was cute. I kind of thought he was cute, but like I said, I'm not a chaser. I'm the type that if I like somebody, you know, on those old cartoons, how a woman would drop her handkerchief to see if I'm more subtle. Like I'll do something to let a person know that I'm kind of interested, you know, maybe give them a look. But after that, if they don't catch on, then I figure, okay, maybe they're not interested. But anyways, I thought this one guy was kind of cute. And then it was this other girl. I guess he ended up liking her and she dogged him out. I mean, she was calling him all types of names and he was just like puppyish in love. So it can go both ways. I mean, he was dealing with her youth, and at the end of the day, she had a man. She didn't even like the dude, you know. So some men like bad girls, but I was turned off because I didn't like the fact that he was taking that type of abuse off of her. So I was my little crush or whatever I had on him, it disappeared once I saw how he was letting this girl abuse him just because she was cute, you know. So but yeah, some girls probably do like quote unquote bad boys, but I think I mentioned in another video I have so many of them and then half of them are on private, but I know in one video I said it could depend on the woman's environment. Like say like a woman grew up in the hood. Okay, Dexter, he ain't got the weed. He ain't, you know, he don't have her habits. You know what I'm saying? He don't, and I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do none of that. But I know about, you know, I know about being in different environments because I lived in the hood, so I know how women are in the hood, and then they live a rough life. It's violence, you know. So when Dexter roll around, you know, and then when Tyrone roll around with his muscles and, you know, he know how to hit back, you know, and he got the weed and he got all this stuff, she's going to be able to relate to him, not because he's bad, but that they're more compatible, you know. And then at the end of the day, Dexter is hanging around just wanting to hit too. So she's probably going to choose somebody that she's just a little bit more compatible with. Not saying that she ought to choose Tyrone, but that's just kind of how it happens. It's not like, you know, a bunch of women are just looking for bad boys. Now, let me go on to these good guys. Now that we are mature, now that we're, you know, in our 30s, 40s, or whatever the case may be, now the good guys, they're resentful. They mad, they pissed off, you know. And so now you got these men that want to make you pay because they couldn't get the girl that they wanted in high school. So now you got to deal with that. Now you got to deal with them wanting to string you along. So then you might end up getting somebody that's lesser than because you ain't got time to play games with Dexter because now he's playing games now that the keys is in his hands. You see what I'm saying? So it's not really as cut and dry as people try to make it seem. It's a little bit more complicated than that. And anybody that's consider themselves a halfway decent woman know that, you know, quote unquote, good guys play games. And some of them are angry, you know, and some of them, they want to live out they years that they couldn't be a player. Now they want to live out their player years in their 30s and 40s. And then when they get married, they trying to look for somebody in their 20s, you know? So it's like, whatever, you know? So, I mean, so I'm saying all this to say, yes, some women do probably want bad boys, but it's not for the reasons that, you know, it is rumored to be. You know, sometimes it's just an environmental thing, you know, or sometimes it's when you're looking for that good guy, you get frustrated. You like, forget it. I'm gonna just be with Tyrone then, forget it. Or you, or like me, you just like choose to be alone. I just choose to be by myself. Like, forget it. I'll just wait it out, you know. And if he come, he come. And if he don't appear, then he don't. So it's either way is okay with me. So,
and if I made something that, wait, am I going? Okay, I got everything turned on.
You sound clear to me.
Okay, I was just hearing the echo. It's gone.
Oh, you're good now. I think you're good now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. In reading, also considering what she was just saying, there are guys who also want the oh gosh, this noise. Who also want the bad girls. I definitely know some guys in my family. I definitely be like, why are you choosing these women? Like, oh my gosh. And these women, and some of these women, they know how to spot those ones out, just like they, so, but nobody looks at that when it's a guy. It's like, everybody's pitying him, or he a good man, right? Nobody's looking at a guy like that, because certain people in my family, it's just, you do not see what we see. And somebody pointed out, noticed the comment, why are nerds looking for girlfriends in the thug dating pool? And that's a good point, because I used to, and considering like some of these old 80s flicks, I know I talk about this used flicks and cartoons a lot in comparison, and I know this is the movies and everything, but this does apply with a lot of people in real life, like the movie Mean Girls. But you notice how, like, for instance, those old 80s flicks, and the nerdy guy, he's always trying to get with this girl who is not interested in him, who is like, oh, get out of here, loser, like something like Lucas or something like that. And they end up getting with this girl who, nobody really looks at that. And that's another thing too, the stereotype that because a guy is considered a nerd, or he's smart, or he doesn't dress like a thug, that he's automatically nice. That is something I found out to, well, I won't say bullshit, but that is not necessarily true. Now, don't get me wrong, like I said, my husband is a person's into computers and game, a gamer. He's into all that. He likes anime and all that stuff. It was the fact he was assertive, and he did understand, and he's actually younger than I, but he was raised, he had been working since he was a child. But just the idea that all so-called nerds are nice people. A lot of times these are those guys usually who are up in here talking, just being so ugly towards women. They're so aggressive up in here, but in real life, they do not apply, or they're not but like, just like with a lot of these white guys up in here, the ones who be trolling and stuff, those are usually them nerds in their mama's basement. You know what I'm saying? The comic book guy, like on The Simpsons, and they come up in here because they don't have the assertiveness, or they don't have the game, and they think, and when I say game, well, maybe I shouldn't use the term game. That doesn't mean that you have to lie to women, or you have to do any player stuff, but just basic, speaking up, being assertive, being a man. You know what I'm saying? Like I had, before I got married, if you can remember, years back, I had did a video, Are Black Men Afraid of Black women? Because I had noticed, like, for instance, if I was looking a certain way, there's a lot of females, a lot of attractive female sisters who are saying that their brothers just not approaching them. Like, they look like they want to approach them and look like they want to talk, but almost as if they're scared of Black women or something, or they're afraid to approach, like they automatically assuming that we're going to reject them or something like that.
Yeah, I know that's probably because a lot of women, have had like bad attitudes and all that kind of stuff, like they tear these guys down when they try to approach them. So a lot of them are like hesitant and stuff like that. So that's part of the deal with that,
Is it really like that though? Is it really that?
Yeah, some women are
like women gonna bite their head off. Come on, I think there's an exaggeration with that. That damn mean.
Yeah, some women are like that though. Like they'll shoot a guy down. So guys are like, I'm not going to walk up to this girl, lady or whatever. So some guys may be hesitant to approach a woman that they don't know and just like spark up a conversation. So I think that that's part of it.
So but, those guys need to leave those thugettes alone. Just like y'all say, girls need to leave thugs alone. He must have been approaching them thugettes. Because a good girl ain't gonna be rude,
Right. See, you know what? That's very true. Because my friend, that is very true.
Go ahead. I never disrespected a guy if I wasn't interested. I'll just say something like, well, I got a man. I won't be rolling my eyes like, ugh, get out my face. Like, so he must have been approaching some thugettes or something for them to be tearing off into them like that, you know. I'm kind of playing a little bit.
You know, I was talking about this. I think we are not the ones who are trying to claim sexual assault if somebody say good morning to us. But yet they claim that we are, you know, they claim black women so mean, and come on now.
Yeah, I mean, you all know there's some women out here that'll give a guy the stink eye and all that kind of stuff if they approach him. You know that.
I will admit, now sometimes if I think a guy want to talk to me, I will look down, or I might like divert my eyes on a book or something, or try to act like I don't see him. So I do try to not give him eye contact, but as far as just being rude, I wouldn't do that, you know.
So if you were to give these guys advice on how to approach y'all, like what would y'all say? I mean, I know that she's married, but like, you know, what kind of advice would you give to the average guy that like sees you and is interested in talking to you? Like, how would you recommend that they approach you?
Walking down the street, I don't know. Like walking down the street, because usually you're trying to get somewhere, you know.
I want him to just come and grab me and just kiss me. That's all I want. Go for it.
You went straight in for the
kill. Nah, go. I mean, go ahead, warrior. You can go.
Oh, I don't know. I just say be yourself. That's what I say. Don't come like if you really like it depends on also the context in which the person is approaching me too. But I would just say be yourself. And if you're giving off a good vibe, we start a conversation, maybe, you know, if I feel comfortable talking with you, that's a start. I can't speak to where or when or how, but just approach me respectfully, because I've had times where people be like, yo, you know, and say crazy things. I don't respond to it, but I think respect is so important. And if, you know, I think you have to come with respect and be honest about what you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just a regular, you know, hey, how you doing? You know, do you got a man? I would want him to ask me that first. And then if, you know, everything is clear, you know, I would like for him to say, well, maybe we can exchange numbers and go out to eat, you know, something simple, you know, not no yo shorty, no, nothing crazy like that.
Right.
Like, hey, you know, nothing like that.
Because we have to be discerning, though. I mean, women have to be on guard. We ain't got no choice, you know. Like the bad things that I can say happened with me, it was not with the so-called obvious thug. It was with those who kind of came off as good guys. But what they said about most people, some study, they meet their mate or whatever in a laundromat. And I do believe that if you want to find a woman, go to church. I mean, honestly, you will find a lot of women looking for a husband. You know, go to church, try that. Or like with my ex, you know, we was in college together. He was younger than I, but you know, he had, being that I went back to college. And usually I was talking to guys, always I talked to them that were at least like 5 years older than me, but it was the fact that he was assertive. And, you know, walking down the street, now why is it that, now what I taught my daughter is that you walk by, because it can get dangerous. If you,
I was going to ask all about that.
It can get dangerous. I witnessed this with my oldest niece. She's a very attractive young lady, and I remember one time, you know, she just didn't respond back to a dude, and they shouted out, bitch, and you know, and I was like, damn, is this what you deal with all the time? You know, I didn't know it was like that for her. Like sometimes, especially with this younger generation, they'll do shit like throw something at you. Or I can't say that I've experienced that, but and see, the thing is too, men gotta understand, when you're walking down the street, you're trying to get to somewhere, and a lot of times females, you know, you'll say hi, you got an instant friend. Yeah. So I told my daughter, if you're not interested, say hi, be pleasant, but keep walking. You know what I'm saying? Because so I wouldn't advise like just someone on the street. because a lot of times, you know, we're walking, get where we going. But I would say like in school or in like just try going to church and where people meet in a laundromat. You know, I had met my ex actually in a laundromat. And it's something too. I know a lot of women have said the same on laundry day. And you know, laundry day, that's when you looking worse because you're trying to wash everything and you got your scarf on and all that. I have found that dudes are more likely to approach you, you know. But brothers gotta come on, they stronger than that. They gotta put that fear beside and just come off. You know, we ain't like that. Black women ain't all like that. We ain't trying to bite a brother's head off, you know. And they know what they be chasing too. They know they be going after these females. And I don't mean the stereotype just because a girl is pretty or attractive, but they know what's up. They be trying to go for the same female, like somebody said in the chat, that the thug or whatever is pursuing. They trying to go for the video vixen or whatever you want. I'm not saying that a girl can't be fine and can't be nice. I'm not saying that. I know a lot of nice, pretty girls. Don't get me wrong. Just like I know a lot of girls who are mean and they may be considered unattractive. But you know what's up. They know they're not trying to get with the girl next door. Let's keep it real. Just like in Hollywood. They're not trying to get with the girl next door. They claim that's what they want, but that is not what they are pursuing. You know,
I agree with that.
So, Lashid, you kind of touched on street harassment, and you know, I just want to ask, like everyone else, like, is that a real problem? Because you hear a lot of people talk about it, like you hear some feminists talk about how much of a problem it is that women face in terms of men on the street harassing them, you know, sexually harassing them. And also there's been a lot of news about a lot of people in politics and entertainment who have been accused of sexual harassment. So, like, is that a real issue for you all? Like, has that been your real experience, or do you think that it's being exaggerated in terms of street harassment?
Well, not since now that whole thing with the woman walking down the street, the white woman, they knew to put a thick white woman out there, you know, in her jeans. I knew what they was doing. And she didn't admit that there was also some white dudes trying to holler at her too. And they just saying, good morning, how you doing, beautiful? I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I don't see that. Even if, let's say, I was to get annoyed or whatever, you know, I don't see that as harassment. But, you know, I don't want to say something that's too politically incorrect, but I'm going to just keep it real speaking for myself. But I'm not going to lie, when I was younger, like I talked about, you know, I had a breast reduction surgery and everything. And back when I was younger, see, something about when you're younger, they feel they can get away. It's like I had joked with one of the people here. This man, he just grabbed my titty.
That happened to me too.
What? It happened to both of you?
Yeah, this older man. I was like, what? I was like maybe 17. I was like, don't you ever that was the craziest, I will say. And me asking this white man for directions, and something he said very lewd to me. But for the most part, it's just, it's been dudes trying to holler, but I can't, for them, especially when I became an adult. When I was under 18, yeah, it's different, because they think they can get away with some of that stuff with younger, and it usually be a lot of times them dirty old men, if you will. Now I can't say, because what my niece and what I've been hearing, that they've been, you know, younger girls have been experiencing, like brothers of these millennials and under, like they're angry or something. And I'm kind of seeing this in YouTube world. It's like this generation behind us, they angry, you know? I don't know what that's about.
It seemed like when I was younger, I had more inappropriate things happening to me, like this older guy. I think I was 15, and this older guy, he might have been 28, 30. He was, I was kind of grossed out, because 30 at that time when you're 15 feels like they're extremely old. But anyways, we were just walking down the street, and again, by me not being the rude type, you know, I let him talk to me, and next thing you know, he flashed me his thing just out of nowhere. Wow. And it was like, you know, and one time I had a boyfriend. How old was I? I might have been 18, but when I was 18, for some reason I still looked like I was 14, because I wasn't really developed. I was like a late bloomer, so I was like still looking young. And I had a boyfriend, and there was this other dude. We were like waiting at the bus stop, and there was this other dude. He didn't have on no shirt, he looked kind of weird. It looked like he had mosquito bites on him. Like it seemed like bugs was just flying around him. And he looked at my boyfriend. He was like, "Yo, dog, that's you," like pointing at me. I guess he was trying to see if it was okay to talk to me. And I thought that was weird. Like, why is he asking my boyfriend? But the point is, he didn't have any manners. He was just like, "Yo, is that you?" And then my boyfriend was like, "Yeah." He finally clued in what the dude was talking about, because my boyfriend was a nerd, you know. And yeah, so sometimes men, it seemed like when you are younger, I do agree, it seemed like when you are younger, it seemed like that's when they're more aggressive and lewd. And you know, one dude, he actually wanted to have sex with me, and I was like, no, you know, we was talking a little bit, but we wasn't really that deep with each other to where I felt like it was worthy of us, you know, going to the next level. And he was like, well, so what am I supposed to tell my boys? Like checking me, like, what am I supposed to tell my boys? Like, yeah. So when I was younger, I can admit the dudes were a little bit more ruder and lewder and wild with it, you know? Yeah, but yeah. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I can also agree too, because for me, when that happened, I was in college at a party, and this guy, he was like maybe 6'5". He just came out of nowhere. Me and my friend were walking, and he just grabbed my one of my breasts, and I pushed him off. But it's like I wanted to be more aggressive, but I'm like, this guy might beat me down. So I was like, I felt so helpless at that point. But I just think that also as women, we also got to just kind of be very mindful of our environments that we're in, you know, and you know, we also got to kind of like watch, you know, when we go out, or watch the people that are, I make it a point of paying attention to my surroundings, because you never know who is lurking or who is around, you know. But it made me feel like helpless at that time. I remember that, but that was so long ago. Now I honestly, you know, that's not a problem for me.
So I want to move on to the next question. And before I do so, I want to let people know in the chat room that I will go through the chat box and respond to a lot of the things that you're saying over there. But I wanted to ask you, why is the Black family falling apart? Like right now, we see that over 70% of Black households are single parent households. Why do you think that that's such a major problem in our community? And I'll just ask a basic question. Do you really perceive it as a problem? Like some people say, well, this is a new definition of family. You don't necessarily have to have a nuclear family in order to be a functional family. So what do you all have to say about that?
Oh, I thought Lashid was gonna go.
Oh no, I'm just waiting. So much I'd have to say on that.
You're asking, why do we think that the Black family has fallen apart, and do we think it's normal, basically?
Right. I mean, do we think that, like, I mean, first of all, like, do you see that as the Black family falling apart? The fact that you have like over 70% of Black households being single parent households, basically run by Black women. Do you see that as a problem? And if you see it as a problem, why is it a problem? And why does this problem exist?
I mean, yeah, I do see it as a problem. I think it is a problem. I think the reason why is, I mean, we can go into the whole warfare. I know they got this yet another thing out in the atmosphere talking about, you know, women kick the Black man out for warfare. But I think it went both ways. I think Black men also was like, wow, I can have a baby and I could just bounce, you know. I think it kind of went both ways, you know. Back in the days, like I said, most of my friends grew up without a father. I grew up without a father, but I was still in contact with him, like through phone calls, through mail, you know. So, but in most cases, the fathers wasn't kicking down the doors to get their children. So it was like, I think once that happened, and it probably goes a little bit deeper than that, because I'm not really into history, probably like other people are, but I know in my era, I would say that Black men, they were, you know, they were bouncing. They wasn't really like I said, kicking down the doors and really fighting all that tough, in my opinion, to get their daughters and sons back. They kind of, I felt like they benefited off of the welfare system and took advantage of that. And I think it was ignorance on both parties. I think the women probably didn't really see it as bad as it was until the children got older and probably realized how not having a father there, how it affected them in the long run. But I think at the time when you're doing it, you know, when you're 18, 19, having these babies in that era, you're not thinking about the long-term consequences. And like I said, with the men, it's like, woo, you know, the system get to take care of my kids. Let me go over here and have some more babies and let me live with this woman. And, you know, and, but no, I don't think that, you know, single parent households is a good thing at all. I think in certain cases it can work out, but I think for the majority of the cases, it didn't, obviously, as we can see now, because a lot of us are the product of single household. It didn't work out, basically. But I think back in the days, people just didn't think that far along. I think they just looked at the fact, ooh, this is a free housing, and this is, you know, I get a check, and, you know, the men didn't really think about how it was going to harm their kids and the violence in the neighborhoods, or let's just say it wasn't a violent neighborhood, just how not having a father, how it would negatively affect their sons and their daughters. So I just think people weren't thinking really back in those days. And now that the ish has hit the fan, now everybody is like, oh, that was a bad thing, you know. And it is. I think it's better to have two parents versus one, you know. Statistically, you know, they say two parents households, usually their children, you know, have more opportunities educational wise and, you know, just socially, and they have fewer issues. Now, some two parent households, sometimes the children still end up messed up, especially if the parents are dysfunctional, because you can have a two parent household and the parents are arguing and fussing and each other. So it all depends on what two parents are raising the children. But I'm just saying, overall, I still think it's better to have two parents if they're healthy and not abusing each other than to have just one single mother trying to hold it all together.
Right. Yeah,
and no, I don't think a one parent household is ideal. That's my opinion.
Yeah, my beliefs are, of course, why's my voice always? Oh, okay. I believe that, of course, y'all know that I have my Bible-inspired beliefs, but there are a lot of people. I'm so glad that, you know, even those of the Kemetic Society and those who are agnostic Blacks who realize that you need a mother and a father. I do believe that it's about roles, and I do believe that we have God-given roles. It doesn't mean that one is necessarily more important than the other. It's just like if you assign a child to be hall monitor or to watch over the classroom, it doesn't mean that this child is necessarily better than the rest. If that's just who you assign to watch over the classroom or to be in front of the line or whatever, that's who you assign. There's nothing, you know, if we appreciate the roles that we both play, and just because a man is a provider, a protector, that doesn't mean that he can't nurture or support. Just because a woman is a nurturer and supporter, that doesn't mean that she can't do some providing and protecting of her family as well. I do wish it could go back to, especially when I examine things, men working outside the home, women staying at home and taking care of the children. I know there's a lot of people don't want to hear that, and it's been hard for me even to accept, you know, even though, you know, like I said, I'm dealing with some of my health issues and stuff, and it's been very hard for me to accept. It's been because I wasn't used to that. I've been working and stuff since before I was in school, and usually when I was working, I was going to school. But then it's like when I had shared with y'all, it was these women at my college when I was in college back in the 90s, and I was working, and I only had one child now. And I was like, I can't do this. You know, I was like breaking down to these sisters, like, because I was like going to school 8 hours and work 8 hours. And I was like telling them I can't do this. And these women, now these were sisters at this institute that I was going to college, you know, and they were like, well, and most of these instructors were Black women. was interesting. And they were like, well, I worked 2 jobs, and I swear they made me feel if I was like I was a straight up wimp. And that's what was embedded in me at a young age. You know, this was back in the 90s, and I was a young adult. They made me feel like I'm not a real woman or a real sister if I can't do. But, you know, I had to later think about how were they children? How did they children end up? Because it hurt me a lot when I would go and pick up my daughter from the daycare, the woman who was watching her, and she wanted to stay with the babysitter and not really come with me. That hurt me. I mean, we got to think about that. That has taken us away from, it's led to, it also contributed to the obesity factor. We're not cooking as we used to. We're, you know, grabbing pizzas and fast food and, you know, because we're tired. We're tired. And a lot of these jobs that Black women, a lot of us happen to have, we're sitting. We're sitting. And I'm not saying the work is more stressful. The work is, I'd rather go, you know, like when I was in office where I'd rather go back to fast food any day. It's like the work is more mentally stressful, but it's less manual. You know what I'm saying? It's stressful. I think that this has a lot to do with, and there are studies that have shown that a lot of, as they call them now, homemakers, or what we used to call housewives, they are thinner. They're, you know, even though despite the big woman mammy stereotype of the housewife, you know, she's fat, eating bonbons and stuff. But those who are doing their duties, they found that they're healthier. And the children, you know, they've been showing that this is healthier for the household. I think we should just go back to traditional, and I mean, and I'd be willing to be a Stepford wife. And I think there are a lot of women who would be willing to be a Stepford wife, but the men, it's a domino effect. It's got to be the men first stepping up because they are the lead. It's a domino effect. When the men get their ish together, the women will follow, the children will follow, the pets will follow, you know, and if only we could understand that. And of course, I'm going to say the Most High. We got to first look to our Creator,
So you think so Nellie mentioned like the role of the welfare state and, you know, undermining the family. And you also mentioned like the roles of men and women. So are there other factors that have led to this high situation where you have single parent households other than, you know, welfare and, you know, a change in values? Are there other factors that you all think are to blame for this? Like, what role do you think that women play in this issue in terms of the downfall of Black relationships and family life? Because you hear a lot of people on YouTube blaming Black women for all the problems in the community. So what would be your response to those people?
Well, like I said, and I'll get this out the way. You've had those issues, okay, before 1964. You've had these issues. For one, it goes all the way back to slavery, okay? And I'm not trying to make excuses for Black men, but Black men being taken out of the home, okay? These issues go back. Like you remember, like there were songs like Papa Was a Rolling Stone versus I Always Loved My Mama. And these were not songs that were written by white people. These were Black men. You remember that was the main way you insult a Black man, by talking about his mama. You know, and the Black, because I never thought I'd see the day when you hear Black men dissing their mama. But these issues with the father being outside the home, and like I was pointing out earlier, where you've also had men of other countries that we don't look at who leave their country, leaving their wives and children behind, coming to the United States. It was a Mexican dude that told me this. So we've definitely, these issues we've had even before the Food Stamp Act. And as pointed out, even though this may have affected the marriage rate, these women have still been with Black men. They still have them in their lives. It's not true to say that 70% of Black children are raised by only one parent. It's just, I would definitely say less than that, because in a lot of cases, I know people who have lived with their mate for like 20 years. They just didn't get married. You know, they just ain't telling the aid office that this man is still living. There hasn't been that commitment like that. Actually, I think the Welfare Reform Act of 1996 did more damage. And like someone said with the crack cocaine epidemic, because you still had single mothers raising children that turned out decent. I mean, but we've had that problem. You know, the episode of Good Times, James' dad ain't in his life. You know, they was writing them songs you know, people who were before the welfare, you know, they were writing these songs. These were people of a generation before the Food Stamp Act was passed. Black women have never been part of this coalition with white women. Black women had just been doing what they had to do to survive. That's all. We ain't been part of we ain't been complaining about the same shit white women been complaining about. We just been trying to survive and do whatever we got to do to survive. And like I said, I honestly think the Welfare Reform Act of '96, I'm not saying that welfare check was necessarily good for us, but I saw what it had done with women. I'm not saying that women, if they get pregnant, they shouldn't take care of their responsibilities, but I witnessed what that had did, and women now being forced. I mean, why would you want people going in the workplace who don't really want to work? Not to mention, this led to a lot of men being without jobs because now there's more competition, and you know they're more likely to hire a woman over a man. I saw the effects of this, you know, with more women, and they're being forced to go out there in the workforce. If you really look at it and analyze 1996, and that's where I think a lot of this anger, with the stricter, at the same time, you had the stricter child support laws where you got men, they can get straight up locked up and be in debt for the rest of their life. I'm not making excuses for not taking care of your responsibility. I'm not saying this at all, but people being forced to, I'm just not with it. I mean, you will, if you really analyze it, you'll see the effects of that. And this is also, if you notice, since then, you've had more of us becoming obese, more of us being cranky. I mean, crankier rather. I mean, really, when you look at it.
Yeah. And I think this generation just haven't seen a lot of examples of, you know, good marriages. So I think the generation under us, they just want to forget marriage altogether because they figure like, what's the point, you know? So I just don't think it's enough good examples for the generation under us to be like, oh yeah, I want to get married. Not to say that it's not happening at all, but I just think that people are in that mindset that, you know, they just not as into marriage as they used to be, you know. And plus it was more pressure back then, you know. It was more like everybody is kind of like, you know, forget religion, forget all that. But in our day, you know, it was about, you know, you were shamed almost. Not in our day. I would say in my mother's generation, it was almost a shame for you to have an out of wedlock child. It's like if you get pregnant, the father would have his shotgun and say, you better marry my daughter, you know. And then with my mother's generation, it kind of like people got married because they got pregnant, but then they also split up, or they probably was in a, what you call that? Like it probably wasn't a healthy marriage because they really didn't want to get married anyway. And then in my generation, you know, I still have friends that were getting married, but it's like, oh, we can get a divorce. So it's no shame behind it anymore. So now the generation beneath us, they like, you know, what's the point of getting married? You know, like they don't really see the point, you know. Now, certain communities, they still, I think, you know, value marriage, but like the Black community in particular, I don't really think they value it too much because again, what examples do you have to look at? You know, there's no examples. What do you think, Warrior?
A lot of people are, from when I talk to just different people, a lot of people nowadays are they're just kind of giving up hope. And they're into open relationships. They're into dating, you know, multiple people at the same time. So I just think it's a factor of people just not having that faith in relationships because of what they've seen before in their past. My mom and dad, they were married for 25 years and they got divorced.
Oh, wow.
Their relationship, they just had a very rough relationship. It was a difficult household to grow up in. I just say that to say the least. But it still hasn't it still doesn't make me lose faith in what I could have in the future. You know, it still doesn't make me have a negative outlook on marriage. You know, because I think when you're in those kind of situations, every generation ultimately wants to learn and grow. So I'm kind of like taking things from my mother and trying to become a better woman because of lack I saw in her. I'm kind of seeing, even though I love my father, one thing I can say about my dad, an awesome provider. He was now drink, yeah, that man could drink, he could do all these kind of things, awesome provider. And that's what he was great at that. But I see what I don't want, so I'm learning from them, and then I'm like, okay, this is who I should be. What I also think too is that these days people are going into the relationships and they're not actually healed. So they're not actually dealing with themselves first before they're trying to go out and meet somebody else to kind of like make them feel fulfilled in their life. So where I'm at right now in my life, I'm just like, let me work on constance. Let me work on making sure my heart is completely healed, that all my finances are in order. Because if I say I want to meet this certain kind of man, I have to be that woman. So that's what my focus is, not necessarily finding somebody, but just taking what I can take from my mother and my father's relationship, and ultimately having a better relationship, because I'm taking time to heal myself, to work on myself. And if y'all noticed, people are getting married later in life.
Yeah, I noticed that
anymore, and I think that it's actually more productive to get married later on in life, because you have time to work on yourself, to heal, to grow, to understand what you really want. Because I look at myself, even 2 years back, I was in a relationship with this man in New York, and he wanted to marry me. He was like 46, and he was a good guy, would have been an awesome provider, had a great career. But I realized, like, that's not somebody that I want to be in love with, or that I could share my life, because he really just wanted a baby. He really wasn't in the concept. And I'm like, I'm not willing to settle. But I think that as I see myself and I really explore myself, I really become more in tune with myself, I know what I deserve, and so I'm willing to wait. So I think it's okay, if my husband comes along at like 41 years old, 42, prayerfully not, but if that happens, I really feel like I would be in a great spot versus choosing someone just because I was single.
Yeah. Yeah, people are getting married later. I know, like when I think I was 18 or 19, my grandma called me an old maid because I didn't have children and a husband.
Yeah, that was the old.
So yeah, people are getting married a little bit later.
I'm suspected of being a lesbian. I could tell my grandma, because I used to be a tomboy anyway. So it's like when it went so long. So I'm not gonna lie, before my husband, I was like 10 years. I had been engaged before, but yeah, I hear what you're saying, sister. I definitely, but then you want to consider, because you got to have kids though by a certain age.
True. That's true.
And you want to, especially if you end up having the issues I got, broken down knees and this and that. I was waiting so long. I hear what you're saying. But what did you think of arranged marriages? I kind of saw a special. It was these young people from their parents were from India, but they chose a traditional. They still chose a traditional marriage. These separate young people from India. And it was like on 2020 or something like that, and it was arranged. They both, although these kids grew up in the United States, their parents were from India, and they were defending arranged marriages, and they were like, how obviously something's work. Even though a lot of us in the United States, we see that as that's old fashioned. That's what is it? Not sexist, but. Well, anyways, they were saying obviously something is working, because they managed to remain married longer, where they don't get to see their bride or groom until the wedding day, and their parents pick out the mate for them, and they saying who's best to know who is best for you, or than your parents. They're going to want the best for you, right? And so just in talking about age when it comes to marriage, but they they were rather young. And they said they're grateful for their mates. Just something to think about.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't think Americans we're gonna ever go back to that point where our parents is gonna be choosing for us.
Probably not.
I mean, I see what you're saying, because as when you're young and 18, 20, you're thinking about, oh, he cute. That's what you kind of basing, you know, your attraction for, and then, you know. But I do agree, at a certain age, as a woman, we do have a biological clock, and I'm at the point, like, if I had Janet Jackson money, yeah, I would have a baby, but I'm like, I'm not about to be chasing around no toddler. I need a nanny, you know. If I had the money, yeah, I would be open to having a baby, but I think, you know, I'm gonna give y'all the big reveal. I just turned 40 this year, so I'm like,
congrats.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I think the whole having a baby thing is not really in my cards.
No. Well, welcome.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I never really wanted one. I saw how everybody was struggling with their kids around me, so I always wanted a baby late. I always wanted a baby like in my 30s, but that's when I thought that people were still into marriage. And that's when I was realizing the hard way, it seemed like nobody was really about that marriage life. And I'm like, well, I saw how my mother struggled, and I saw how other people struggled. And I'm like, well, I don't want to bring a child into the world just to say, hey, I got a baby. Because, I mean, it's not easy growing up poor. It's not easy, you know, witnessing somebody breaking into your house. That actually happened. My mom ended up gathering us in her room one night. I don't know, maybe she had a what you call that, a premonition or something like that. And next, you know, I'm laying next to my mom, and she ended up screaming out my brother's name. And then some man ran out the room and down the stairs and flew out the door. It was a man in her room, and she had gathered me and my sister in her room, and I was right next to her. So I just wouldn't want to birth a child into poverty. That's just me, you know. So I was thinking, okay, when I turn 30, you know, people, because I've been proposed to, or not necessarily like on bended knee, but I have been offered marriage. But I'm like, I want to wait, you know, because I don't think these guys know what marriage is really about. And when I hit my 30s, I'm still like, it'll happen, you know, not really thinking. And then next, you know, I'm like, okay, 35 is hitting. And I'm like, man, forget it. I don't think I can, I'm not trying to hold out for no baby, you know. But luckily, I think I never was the type that really, really just wanted a baby so bad. So I think that's probably why I'm okay with it and not like sad about it. But I know a lot of women my age, once they start seeing their, once they start going up in age, they'll just go ahead and just have that baby, whether they have a man, whether they're ready or not. That's what some of the people that I know did. They just had the baby. Like, forget it, I'm getting older, and you know, and sometimes they'll marry whoever, and it might not even last, but they got their baby, you know. So, excuse me.
If you met the love of your life, you wanted a child.
If I had Janet Jackson, I don't know. I would have to think about that one. Because if I did meet the love of my life, I would be more open. But by me being the age that I am, one of us would have to have a lot of money, because I would feel like it would need to be more supervised than the average pregnancy, because I am older. So that's, yeah, but I would definitely consider it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want, and trust me, I know, you don't want that time to pass and then you be thinking about, you know, because it can be very emotional. I'm just telling you, you know, so really consider that. Don't let that time, trust me on that. Don't let that time.
Yeah.
You know, because you may meet that person.
But and another reason is I don't really have a real close knit family. Like, I have family, but my family is like, you know, we're kind of like, I don't want to say scattered, but everybody is like doing their own thing, and they got their own family, meaning that if I had a baby, I wouldn't be able to just put my baby off on people, you know, like, you know, I probably would have back in a day, you know, because everybody is dealing with their own issues. And then, you know, I have nieces and nephews, but they just starting out in life, so they don't got time to be babysitting a baby of mine. So I would need, you know, I would need somebody with some money, or I would have to run into some money, and then I could probably work it out to where I would have a nanny. I know it sounds silly, but again, I think because of my age, I just wouldn't want to be trying to chase after a toddler at this point in time of my life. But I see what you're saying as far as, you know, you don't want the time to pass and then poof, you know, because yeah, I even asked the doctor, like, you know, can I still have children? He was like, it's nothing stating that you can't, you know. I guess he figured, you know, as long as you still, you know, have your little friend every month, you know, and everything is okay. But sorry, new possibilities, too much information, but yeah, he, you know,
you know say that. I'm gonna talk about it. Oh.
Yeah, but I just, like I said, I would feel like I would just want more in my life, and you know, to be able to, you know, because like I said, I raised, I mean, not me, but I've seen people struggle with children not really having a stable environment for the child, and I wouldn't want to do that. So.
Yeah, it's sad that it's like this, because God meant for us to be fruitful and multiply, and children, in fact, it's supposed to be a joy. I come from a big family, and I know my daughter, she was an only child, and she really longed for, you know, and other people I've talked to who were only children, you know, had no siblings, you know, and despite, it is different. Like, you know, I try to comfort, you know, a fellow friend, you know, and, you know, letting her know that it wasn't just all fun, because, you know, when you have other siblings, especially when you come from a big family like mine, and my mother was a widow, you know that you just can't have something yourself. Your mother can't get you what she wants, because you got to consider all your siblings, and you have nothing to yourself. But yet still, I wouldn't trade that, you know, when I think of my brothers, and you know, you having somebody picking on you in school, and you got your brothers you can go run to, you know, and it's sad. Like when I'm seeing these, I miss big families, you know, like you especially with the baby boom generation. Your grandma had like 10 kids, like on each side. My grandmother's both sides, you know, they had like 10 kids minimum. That was on both sides, and I miss big families. I miss, like, when I would go to the Kingdom Hall with my grandma and auntie, and you would see families filling up the rows, and you see mama, daddy. It was funny because my family, we were the only ones, my mother's kid, only ones without a daddy, so we were kind of taunted. But you know, you used to see mama, daddy, the sister, the Flowers family, brother, sister Flowers, you know, and the whole family, and you don't really see that in churches. And I just would love to see, I love children deep down. I would love to see big families, you know, and us, because it's funny, back in biblical times, you know, a big family, that meant you had more workers. That meant prosperity, you know, even though now we see it as just another mouth to feed, and, you know, but that used to mean that, you know, more prosperity, more people, you know, to work on your land or whatever.
Take over, you know, but you then worked hard for, they could take it over and
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And perhaps that's why we need to get back to working for ourselves. Be like, maybe that's another thing too. We need to become like the Amish, or some people that, you know, they build their own community and stuff. And that's something I want to show too. Like when I respond back to Cynthia G, who disrespected me recently, you know, I want to and showing, like, well, I mean, I get into that, but it's showing like Israelite communities. They are actually building communities for real, where they're planting their own food, harnessing electricity. You know, we have to. That's another thing. We've got to learn carpentry and these basic skills and cooking, sewing. You know, but what I'm saying, it's so old-fashioned. You know, but I really feel that, you know. And it won't be so bad having children in a big family.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to go back to one of the questions that we were talking about, and that was like the Black family falling apart. And I know that, Lashid, you touched on feminism. You know, you addressed like some of these arguments that people make about feminism and Black women. But do you all think that feminism is in part to blame for the destruction of the Black family? And also, you know, there's this popular stereotype of the strong, independent Black woman. and that whole attitude that goes along with that stereotype. Do you think that those are real problems that have contributed to the destruction of the Black family, the traditional Black family?
Well, I'll let y'all go ahead and. Well, go ahead.
I think I thought Lashid was gonna talk.
Oh, there's so much on that. So I'll go ahead and.
I'm trying to think. Well, I'm gonna start with the strong, independent type of woman, and do they have a certain attitude? It's kind of like, I don't know. I think when you are doing something for so long on your own, I would say it might be an adjustment to quote unquote take orders from somebody else. But again, like I said earlier, you know, if a man shows himself approved, and if he shows himself to be responsible and he's not selfish, he's not just thinking about himself, then I can be flexible and let him, you know, I guess run things, again, as long as he's responsible and got everybody in mind, me, or let's just say I did have that child, you know, I want him to be thinking about the children, you know, and I don't know, it's like in this generation, it's like men, they be in their 40s still trying to rap, and, you know, they want you to kind of like follow them, but they're not really, they don't really have anything stable or really set up to follow. And it's like, you know, as far as feminism, people toss that word around so much. It's like, I don't even know.
First, I was
like,
hearing.
If you speak as a woman, you're a feminist. So it's kind of hard. People just toss that word around so much. But again, I don't know too many Black feminists. People call me a feminist because I talk. So yeah, I think Lashid is familiar with, you know, people just tossing that word around when it comes to feminism versus real feminism. And she could probably speak on the real feminism better than I can. But as far as from what I'm looking at, it's a catch-22. Like, it could be an issue, you know, the strong, independent woman, because like I said, you know, we don't really, I think I'm going to say the majority of women aren't choosing to be like strong, independent. They're doing it because they got to do what they have to do to survive.
Exactly.
You know, and then it's like, you know, for a person to get upset with that and they're not providing any help for you, then, you know, I just don't feel like people have room to talk if they're not willing to be part of the solution. So,
right.
You know. But yeah, like, that's all I got to say on that.
Like with those sisters, when I was talking about when I was in college, they weren't talking to me and telling me this, like saying anything that was anti-male, Black man. That's not at all like trying to get me to be defiant of Black men. They talk to me like, honey, this is what you got to do. It's a lot of Black women that feel that we ain't got no choice. It ain't about, oh, I don't, you shouldn't, you need to separate from Black men. No, that's not the way. That's not the philosophy they were trying to put in my head. They were putting it as if you don't do this, if you don't, you know what I'm saying, be at this 9 to 5 and do this and do that, you know, you weak and your family will fall apart. You will fall apart. That's the way it was put, as if this is what I got to do. And understand this also. It's funny how there's this talk about Black women talking about, I don't need a man. You have to understand. And I remember this, and I know that you know, I'm not trying to call anyone old, but New Possibilities, I know you remember this. There was a time when Black women would be in cargo diggers and skeezers and all that kind of stuff. And you was hearing that repeatedly in songs, particularly rap lyrics. And I remember with Eddie Murphy's Raw, and I talk about this in my mean songs, the video series I did on that, mean songs. And I went back, you know, to certain songs like The Rain, Orange Juice Joe's, and then Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent. You know, and I'm not gonna lie, I used to feel like that song mean, she mean, you know, because I was young and stupid. But and a lot of us females, we cracked up. We love, I still go to Orange Juice Joe's, you know, hey baby, how you doing? You know,
I like this song. That's a classic.
Right. Females, we had no issue with that, but it just became popular. But back then, they didn't necessarily make that a Black woman thing until like the whole thing with Robin Givens and Mike Tyson. But Because of course, you know, only reason Robert Givens would talk to Mike Tyson has got to do with money. There's the only reason this black woman, if it was a white woman, you know, no one would question that she was a gold digger. But then that's when the that image was put on black women and the skeezer. You remember that old school term in hip hop? She's a skeezer. She's a gold digger, EPMD. And so next thing you know, and see, this is what leaves black women in a state of confusion. Then you got Salt and Pepper. Now they're making songs. I am independent. I make my own money. Don't tell me how to spend it. You had Oaktown 357. It's not your money, not your money. And I'm a 90s girl by Black Girl. And so I think a lot of sisters felt that they were given a reaction that perhaps it was just basically a cause and effect. Okay, you saying that I'm using you for your money. I'm going to show you I don't need your money. I can make it without, you know, it was a cause. And now it's like, oh, women, you need to go back to, so it can get very confusing. Just like me, I was made to feel that I need to get respect. I have to be like Florence on the Jeffersons. I have to be like Shirley on What's Happening. Like you have to be this sassy black woman or you will get walked over. It's not a thing of necessarily being anti-male. And like I was saying, there's these different ways. Yes, definitely feminism, well, not feminism. It's not about feminist. It's about the counterculture of this rebellious culture period of the 60s, the baby boomer generation, particularly with white people. The first wave of feminism, or whatever you want to call it, the suffragists, that was mainly about black women. White women wanted to prove that they are more intelligent than black men, basically. They was pissed black men got the right to vote before them. The second wave, you know, you had women, you know, well, the sad thing though, they was pushing for abortion rights and shit. But you had women proving we're not just sex objects, going against the Hugh Hefners. And then this third wave that kind of starts with Madonna. Okay, we'll be those sex objects and everything, but we like basically P power. Okay, the power of the P. You know what I'm saying? Like with Madonna. Okay, I will use what I got to get what I want. And it seems like this new wave of femme, and that goes with Madonna, Lil' Kim, and all that. But this new wave, this new that I've noticed that's been becoming popular. Okay, it's like they're trying to prove I can be a hoe and a housewife. You see what I'm saying? More and more, you're seeing these with the desperate housewives and all this shit. And I'm not making this a black woman thing now. I'm just speaking in general. If you make them put a ring on it, like showing that you could be a slut, you could be a hoe, and you can be married. And it's like they're twisting the idea of marriage. You know what I'm saying? Look at these images that we have: the Kim Kardashians, the Cocos, who's the other ones?
Amber Rose.
Yes, Amber Rose. Like you can be. These are the examples of wives now. This is like the new feminism. I can be a hoe and a bisexual, and I can get this man to propose to me. This is not a black woman thing, but it's sending the message. It's sending a destructive message, not just the black females, the feminists, all that. These liberals, hippies, whatever, Republicans, they've affected us all, black men and black women. You had just as many black men who were supportive of these white liberals, whether they be feminists or hippies or beatniks or whoever, just as many black men supporting these because they saw them like in the 60s and 70s. They saw, oh, they're oppressed by the white man, just like me. They're oppressed. These white women, Jane Fonda and all them, they're oppressed just like me. Susan B. Anthony's oppressed just like me. So we have all been fooled and duped. But to say that sisters been in this coalition with white women, that's bull. We've never been in a coalition with white women.
So the next question is this. I wanted to know, like, you know, we talked about like questions about the woman's role and the downfall of the black community and the black family. Like, what role do you think that men have played in the destruction of the black family? If any at all, if they played a role at all.
Well, you know, I have my opinion, but I'll let somebody else go first.
I'm kind of winded.
Go ahead, Nellie. Let us know your opinion.
I don't want to be the only bad guy now. Okay, well, since nobody's talking, of course, I believe that men have definitely played a role in the downfall. Like I said, as far as, you know, men walking out on their families And I know that not all men are just walking out on their children or anything, but you have to admit a lot of them have, walked out on their children. And then I think it's a rise in selfishness. It's like, that's what I've noticed. It's like men kind of want to do their thing and they want women to stay traditional. they want women to stay, what is it, submissive, but yet they don't want to do manly things like, hold you down, like take care of you and make you feel feminine and all that, and have it to where that you don't have to be stressed out, but they want you to still be sexy, classy, feminine, worry-free, but they're not really willing to do their part to make you feel secure, like you can relax, So, I mean, that's just how I feel. I just feel like,
right.
A lot of people have this, I don't think they take family value seriously anymore, That's just, I don't think men take family value or having the family serious. That's just my opinion and observation. And I'm kind of generalizing. I know there are some good men out there, and, I have neighbors, and he told me that his son just graduated from some, top-notch school. And, so there are some out there, but I am being kind of general when I say this. There are some that aren't doing what they're supposed to do as fathers and still want women to do what they need to do to be this superwoman and this, virtuous woman, but yet they just want to sit back and not really, be anything worth looking up to, but yet still want us to be submissive and, respect them as a man and all this, so that's my 2 cents.
Does anybody else have anything else to add on that?
Well, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just think men have a lot of options. The statistics say there's so many men to one woman. And I think it's easier to find something right now than to work on something for the long term. So I think that's where a lot of the conflict, comes in. If you can find something hot right now that you ultimately, a lot of men want to sleep with a woman or whatever. So you can find that right now. Why take your time on the classy woman, on the woman who has morals, or the woman who you're not going to be able to sleep with, So I think that plays a part in it, and also just their level of maturity, And a lot of times I think people these days are like maturing differently, are maturing at later ages. And not being as responsible, or or just kind of living in the here and now versus thinking about their long-term goals in the future.
Yeah, so I wanted to raise one point in response to Nellie. Like, there's a study that was done by the CDC that points out how Black fathers were the most involved in their children's daily lives compared to other groups of people. So even though there's this popular image of the Black man as abandoning his family, the fact of the matter is that even if the father doesn't live in the household, this study, the Black man is still actively involved in his children's life, more so than other groups of people. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people just view the Black man as abandoning his family. And I don't think that that's necessarily that true. I think that even though he's absent, he may not live in the household, a lot of times the father is involved in his children's life, whether he has visitation, or even in situations where even if he's not married, he may live in the same household with his children. So I do think that it is a problem with, the lack of two-parent households, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of fathers are involved in their children's lives, and I don't think that the fathers receive the kind of attention that they deserve. And I don't think that they deserve praise for doing what comes natural, what a man is supposed to do and all that kind of stuff. But I think that, the positive images are down. So that's just my point about that. And the next thing that I wanted to ask you all about was this whole gender war that we see here on YouTube. Like, have this gender war. Like you have, you know, these YouTubers who their whole content is dedicated to bashing Black women. You know, all they do is blame Black women for everything. They attack Black women. They promote stereotypes about Black women. And, you know, that's all their focus. And a lot of these channels are successful. A lot of them receive tons of donations and subscribers. Why do you think that that is the case? And then also, it's not just the men now. You know, like in response, you now have some women who are lashing out at Black men as well. Like, so it's a actual virtual war that's taking place online. And it's even going beyond that, where you have the men attacking the women and the women attacking the men. Like, why do you think that problem exists here on YouTube and elsewhere?
I have no clue. When I came online, I didn't even know it was a quote unquote gender war until I started getting attacked for no reason. You know, so it was a surprise to me. You know, I was sitting up there just talking about any and everything, you know, and then next thing you know, I think it first started off with somebody called the Leroy Radio Show, which I think is Corey Holcomb, the comedian. He was trolling me. Yeah, I think he was behind that channel. So I think it's probably like, you know, some maybe what they call the powers that be might be behind it, you know, because in the beginning, I'm pretty sure some of y'all might remember when they had these channels in the beginning, they all had these screens. You never seen their faces, you know, and then when TS came out and men saw that, oh, this can be profitable, you know, then people started getting more bolder, and now you got people showing their faces. And the crazy part about it, I would say about 80 to 90% of these guys that are trashing Black women, they got like records, criminal records, and all types of dysfunctions going on with them. And you know, and like I said in one video, I forgot the title of it, but I'm like, y'all taking advice from people that don't even live what they preach about, you know, and it kind of goes back to, you know, these men so-called wanting a virtuous woman, but it's like nobody is telling men how to be something worth being submissive to. It's like everybody is focusing on women. Women need to do this. They need to take out their weave. They need to, you know, when you take out your weave, then they call you a bald-headed HOE, you know, and, you know, it's just like, okay, you know, they keep on changing the rules, you know. So, but I think now, I can't really speak for when I first came on, but now I think it has more to do with, this is a way that men can get attention. I don't think all of them are getting paid, of course. Not all of them are getting paid. I think some are just really that hateful, but I think some are doing it to get attention and to get, I even had a screenshot in one of my videos where a man said that, well, boy, he said that he's an entrepreneur and that he's looking to get paid. And he was on one of Ringo's videos. I might put the video out on public, but yeah, he was on one of Ringo's videos talking about, I like how, I'm going to paraphrase. He was basically saying, keep doing what you're doing. And, you know, basically he liked to smash and dash women and all this. And he's an entrepreneur. So basically it was like this educated lane, you know, thumbs upping what these men were doing, the nice guys, you know. And I think that's what I titled the video. I'm like, nice guys who basically bash Black women on YouTube, you know. So I'll probably pull out that video, but it's kind of long, and, you know, I kind of went on a tangent on that video. But yeah, so I think it's just kind of cool. But the thing is, it's not cool, but some men are too dumb to realize y'all looking stupid to other people. And like somebody else said, they said, now that they got y'all to view Black women in a certain way, now the very same women that you're dissing, the white men are now scooping up, you know? So it's like, but it's like certain Black men still don't have a clue. They still don't have a clue that they're getting set up. And then, you know, like some people say, now all of a sudden, Black women are bad wenches. It's like, are we too ugly to get a man, or are we bad wenches? Which one? I mean, make up your mind. Either we can't get a man because, you know, we too ugly and undesirable, or we're bad wenches. So, like I said, they just keep moving the marker, and at the end of the day, I think a lot of it, not all of it, but I think a lot of it has to do with, hey, this is a way to make money. Now, I don't know how it is now that they're, you know, doing the demonetization. I think some men are trying to clean it up. Have y'all noticed certain channels that seem like they're trying to clean it up or do a Patreon, like, well, just, you know, donate to my Patreon so y'all can get the real videos and stuff. Like, they're trying to scale back a little bit, but once TS showed his face, now everybody is showing their face and trying to use Black women to as an entrepreneurship, you know, idea, and trying to get money off of just making up stuff, you know, just like the Oprah, just like they made that lie up about Oprah bashing Black men. It's like they just keep pulling stuff out of their behinds just to, you know, make Black women look a certain way. So, and another thing that my theory is, you know, you got, you know, the police and certain people, you know, killing them or whatnot. And instead of attacking somebody that they can't beat, they try to attack somebody that they feel that they can kind of wrestle down and bully, instead of attacking the real person that they're mad at. And I think that's also a big reason why that's happening.
You mentioned there, like when you consider days post-slavery, you know, yes, you did have those color purple cases of where, you know, the angst and frustration that Black men were feeling due to white racism and being taken out on Black women. You know, this is, you know, people don't want to, and I know the propaganda with like white people supporting films such as The Color Purple, but I do know that this is, you know, this was the story, almost like the exact story of some older loved ones of mine. You know, so I can't discount and discredit, although I can understand why Black men would be offended by such films, but let's not overlook this real issue. But like I've been saying, this is a setup, a lot of this. There are Black sisters up in here who are now making these videos where they are bashing Black men. They're like the counter. They're countering the Tommies or whoever. And I know when they came up in here, they were not like that. Now we could say maybe that was front, maybe, you know, maybe they weren't for real about Black love and this and that, and they, let's say, wanted white men all along, but hated Black men all along. No, I know what I'm talking about. Like I have a friend, I knew she couldn't stand no white men, you know, and I know this because they would try to holler at her. And this wasn't just a thing of her showing Black pride. I don't mean to make excuses because I'm not cool with it. You know, I'm still down with Black on Black. So regardless, you know, but the thing is, when I came in YouTube, and like I had told this one sister who now has a channel and I say, you admitted to me now that you didn't have certain feelings until you came in YouTube. And the sad thing is, a lot of these lies, like for instance with the Oprah Winfrey thing, and that used to have me tripped out because I was like, wait a minute, I watched Oprah. Do y'all honestly think these brothers watched Oprah? You know, they're talking about Oprah. Do you honestly think? And I would show archives, and if I do this, I'm an angry feminist. Like, no, I'm just trying to show you proof so you can know that this is a lie. This was a lie about Blacks with the feminists. So you can maybe look at it and say, okay, I was mistaken, because they're preying on these younger Black men who don't know. They're going to go by, and it's sad to say though, New Possibilities, but a lot of them who have started these lies are from our generation. And some of them have came off as pro-Black. Like I was always supporting Tariq Nasheed overall, even if I didn't agree with everything about him, you know. But, you know, I've realized that some of these rumors and lies, they came from brothers who were part of the pro-Black community. Some of these, even if they didn't mean for it to go this far, but these rumors about Black women being with the white man and like we're part of this. You see, the thing is that they saw that there was an audience, the evil, wicked powers that be. They preyed upon Black men, young Black men who may feel it rejected. They saw after the whole thing with Sergeant Willie Pete, I'm just using him, let's keep it real. When I came in YouTube, and I know Nellie, she kind of goes back with me. I came in YouTube like, I know she had a different name now. I came in YouTube like 2008, okay? And it was Sergeant, and the thing with him though, he was somebody that black women and black men could listen to, because I found myself nodding my head to some of the stuff he was saying. Yeah, this is true about hair weaves. Yeah. But then I'm like, okay, this is kind of getting a little redundant now. And then when the Asia McGowan tragedy, I'm thinking, when I heard about this YouTube murder, I'm thinking that this was going to be somebody white, because this ain't something that black people do. And it shocked the hell out of me to know this was something, an act committed by somebody black. You know, that's just like, shit, we don't like it. Really, really got that bad. But so it's like, yeah, Sergeant Willie P. And I don't think that he intended for that to happen or anything like that. But the evil powers that be, they saw that there was an audience for this. The angry black man, the black man who's frustrated, and they played on this. I know young brothers who are good young brothers. When I went to college with, they were, one brother, he was played by a Cuban and a white female. But yet he had this animosity, and that's how I discovered like the Sergeant Willie Pete's. I just came to YouTube on their old school music. But I discovered, because I didn't know what was going on when I went back to college, and every time I looked up, there was these back and forth between the young black women and the young black men, these gender. I remember the whole R. Kelly thing. It was around that time with the whole R. Kelly scandal and stuff. And there was all these debates and the defense of and believe it or not, there was a lot of black women defending him. But it just stirred all these gender, and it wasn't like this when I went to college in the 90s. We talked about, you know, it was us versus them. If we were to talk about racial issues, it was blacks versus whites. You know, nobody was caring about Sister Soldier's ponytail, whether it was extensions or not. Nobody cared. Nobody gave a damn. That wasn't the issue. You had more black women not wearing their hair natural in the 90s than today. They just had perms, less extensions, more perms. Okay, you got actually more sisters natural today. You know, but it's like I said, when I went to college, it was more of a, in the 2000s, like 10 years ago, it was us versus them. We could never talk about white racism or talk against it because we were so busy feuding with each other. And I discovered what was going on in YouTube. And I'm gonna tell you, my brothers and my mother didn't even go to church like that. But both of my brothers, they had their children after they were married. And you can't tell me I got 2 unicorns in my family. My mama was a widow, okay? Yes, I'm gonna say my family split. We went dysfunctional. 2 of my siblings, you know, went to drugs. 2 of my other brothers. 1 is gone now. But I know them. They were the type, shit, if they found out a girl they was with, you know, had a baby, they would have loved it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I still hold on to the idea of black men and black women. I do have some positive now, even though I've been through certain things. But yes, this is a plot. They have been trying to break up. It's really, they're trying to get in the minds of black women and make us straight disgusted with black men. That every day, we said, Trick Daddy said this. These rappers we don't even know about. Who is Kodak Black? Who the hell is that? Why do I need to know about what the hell he got to say? But this is shit to get black women. They've been working on this for years, since the OJ verdict. Let's break let's break that loyalty that black women have, where they still sticking or connected with black men. Despite the arguing and fighting or whatever we may do, there's still that attachment that black women, for the most part, have to black men. And so they have been, ever since the OJ verdict, they have been working on getting in the, convincing black men that we are the enemy, spreading these lies about black women. We in this coalition, you know, they'll be laughing about us at Tommy's channel, but then going to Crystal and, you know, then they want to play the rescuer and shit after. And so what happens, you're going to end up having black women, they're going to counter this shit. Like I said, the stuff I be talking, black people come together, love you, that shit is played. Ain't no, I'm not gonna say ain't no sisters trying to hear me, but it's really getting played to a lot of females. They like, hey, sister, you've been talking this in 2008. I'm still single. And it's like, what can I say? You know, it's like when I first came in here, I wasn't married, but it's like I don't even know what to say now. You know what I'm saying? What can I say? Would I be saying the same if I wasn't married? You know, it's very difficult now. But I wish brothers would realize this is really working against them. And like I said, you remember when I said this new possibilities, I said, watch, they're going to bring black women back to screen, but it's not going to be with black men. Sure enough, months later, like a year later, you had Scandal, and there was this other show with Megan Good or whatever, but that didn't survive. You know, and that's what they're going to play on now. That's what here comes the hero, the white knight. He's coming along now. You know, we're now going to get rid of this filth on YouTube. Tommy's going to still stick around though, but you know, let's get rid of these mean pro-blacks or whatever. It's a setup, and I wish brothers would see this. I really wish they would see this. And they're getting these brothers, like I said, it's part of the Kunalati plan. Getting these brothers under MK Ultra, like what's the name said, they under the M Kun Ultra. I'm for real on that. I'm not playing. These brothers been in jail or whatever. They making a deal with them or some shit. You know, if you want less time or brothers on parole, make these videos. That's how I'm seriously thinking. I'm seriously thinking, and I definitely believe that a lot of it, I know that a lot of this shit is a setup, that this is about money, that this is about, like somebody said, who was that? Big J Triple X, he was checking another brother. Oh, it didn't start with Tommy. It goes back with Sergeant Willie Pete with the black sector. It goes back to him and this and that. And I'm like, so are you telling me that this black sector, or whatever you want to call it, it started off the backs of black women? Is that what you're trying to say? This whole black sector, it was people who were supposedly against Tommy, and then all of them is fighting against each other. That's what I don't understand too. These people that claim Tommy Sotomayor is the enemy, they fighting with each other. What the hell is that about? Is this a competition slaying the dragon? So it ain't really, is it really about defending black women and black people? Or is it about getting views?
No, unfortunately, a lot of those people want to be like Tommy. They want to have the same number of subscribers. You know, they're like secret admirers. A lot of these people attack Tommy so that they can get his attention, so that they can get the attention of his subs and all that kind of stuff. For a lot of these people, it's about their ego. It's not about defending black women or protecting black women. It's just about serving their self-interest. And that's, you know, because a lot of these people are disingenuous, you know, unfortunately. But I wanted to ask you all, like, what do you think we can do to end this so-called gender war that we see on YouTube? Like, is there anything that can be done to stop this feud between black men and black women on YouTube?
More people like you need to make channels.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. More men like you need to make channels instead of just having 3 of y'all out there, you know?
Right.
I mean, that would end it on YouTube.
Right. It's sad. Like you and brothers like
it's a few
artists and it's getting shadowed out, you know, because all the sensationalism and all the hype, you know, and you know this is a plot. You know, how is it this person come in here and he blows up these black women bashers? They blow up in views, blow up, you know. It's brothers that have been around here for a minute. They didn't just been like, and I'm not trying to put you down new possibilities. You know, you will always have that lower group of fellas, but it's like they're being overshadowed. I remember there was this other brother, Nizzo the artist. I ain't seen him, you know, and it, you know, but they, I don't know, and it's very frustrating. Actually, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, the other men, they're more dramatic and they have more antics and they're more, you know, they just animated as heck and flamboyant.
Right.
You know? They just trolling and, you know, and the good guys. I'm talking about the decent ones, like the real decent ones. You know, y'all stand up for us, but it's like 2 of y'all, you know, and y'all so even keeled with it, and y'all don't, you know, y'all so calm, and it's just like, yeah, y'all do get overshadowed. Then women, we're trying to get, well, I kind of like, I don't know if y'all know, but I just kind of scaled back, like, forget it, I'm gonna just talk about my cat or something like that. You know, I started making cat videos. I got people
I said I'm gonna focus on the Most High, the Bible.
I started talking about cats for a while, and I still might continue to upload about cats. So I'm just warning y'all. But I'm just saying, I was going toe to toe with it too, you know. But then some women sometimes jump on me, you know. So it's like, you know what? I'm trying to help y'all, you know, and I described it in one of my videos. It's like seeing that woman getting her behind kicked by her boyfriend. You call the police, and then she try to hit the police when they try to arrest the man. So it's just it can be kind of confusing and frustrating. So when I come on here, I don't want to say I'll be joking around, but I did the whole, you know, the celebrities that look like Halloween costumes. I'm like, I'm just doing silly stuff now, because it's just like, what's the point of fighting, you know, for a group of people where, you know, everybody is turning in on each other, and then it's like three guys up there, you know, battling for us. But like I said, y'all so even keeled and calm, you know, it's like y'all not really, y'all kind of getting, you know, overshadowed, like she said. So it's like, for me, it's like, what's the point? I'll just do another channel, get my views that way, come on this channel on my channel when I feel like it, on the Nellie channel when I feel like being silly, or if I want to talk about cats, you know, and then bam, you know, bounce. You know, so.
Right. And it's time.
Yeah, we need more brothers. We need more brothers like you and other brothers to stand up. We need as many bashing channels as there is. It need to be just as many brothers standing up. But if if the good guys are sitting back, and I think I said it in one of my videos, I'm like, you know, I was addressing somebody. I don't want to really call out names, but I pretty much said, you know, y'all don't really do nothing. Y'all don't. I mean, I know you're supposed to be the nice guy, and I'm not talking about you possibilities, but I'm talking about somebody else. I'm like, you're the nice guy, but y'all sit there and y'all allow this stuff to go on, you know. So, and then, like I said, then when the girls started getting just as spicy and calling people apes and getting all vicious, then it's like the good guys get offended by that, you know. And this is like, well, what about the past 5 years when they was, you know, ripping women apart, you know? But like I said, as for me, I just kind of got tired of it. You know, it's not that I don't care about the sisters anymore. It's just like, what's the point? That's kind of like how I feel, especially if it's not enough men that's going to hold it down with us. Because these 2 or 3 men on YouTube, you know, it's not working. It need to be about 20, 40 of y'all.
Well, it's so hard to say because, like, with like, I always try to promote new possibilities, psychopathias. I'm trying to pronounce it correctly because I keep on saying it. Just like I still say Django, but yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's like people just want this sensationalism. And honestly, I'm getting tired. The shit is getting so redundant, and, you know, and it's like, what's the point of me stressing? Because it really ain't supposed to be me. I'm not supposed to be addressing that. I mean, if I were to really go by what the Bible say, I'm not really supposed to be addressing men. And I never did really try to address men. I just in defense of Black women, and I'm trying to open their eyes and see, like, see, this is false about us. This isn't true. And hoping that they take that and see the plot and the plan against them and let them know. And I'm like, you know, I remember one of the first videos to move me. It was a young girl who made a video, Black Women Cry, something like that. I wish I could find it, but it's in my early days of YouTube. And she was a young Black female, very soft-spoken. I knew that was her natural voice, but she was saying how it's okay, Black women, to cry. It's okay to, you know, and that had really influenced me in my approach. You know, like, it's okay to express that we're hurt. You know, it's okay. You know, I know a lot of people are afraid they're going to be done like Crystal and Karazin if they cry or show emotion in the video, and they're afraid to be. I'm not saying we got to get all up in here crying, but let it be known that, you know, because like what I watched this morning, a brother I'm subscribed to, I let it be known that's hurtful. What he was saying, that was very hurtful. You know, the videos, I guess he put it on private or something, but what I was addressing earlier, it made me come, even though my foot was feeling, I had to come right up in here and respond, you know, because it's very hurtful. And Black men have to know what they are doing is very hurtful. And the emotion of hurt, a lot of Black women are expressing through anger, you know, and it's turning to anger. It's going to go from hurt to anger. And that's what you're saying now.
The thing is, they want you to be hurt. That's the whole thing. But
that's sad.
I literally heard one of these bashers, they said they want to get you, not you in particular, but they want to get people emotionally involved, meaning that they want to get you amped up emotionally. They want to hurt your feelings. Now, it might be 10% that might be oblivious to what they're doing, but a lot of them, that's their aim. So you can make a response video and people can all, respond to this guy, and bam, there go their views. There go their AdSense. There go their donations. That's the whole plan. They're doing it on purpose. I want you to know that a lot. Some admitted it. Like, yeah, this is what I want. I want people to get emotionally amped up. That's what one
want to see a sister hurt. I don't like the idea of seeing. It's been some people saying some nasty shit, but I'm not gonna lie. But I couldn't help but feel something. You know what I'm saying? It just where I still found myself feeling bad. Maybe I'm a wimp, or I just don't even. That ain't even us. That's not even our character. You know, when you want to see a sister hurt. You know, I remember some brothers, they were saying what they liked about New York from I Love New York. They loved the fact that they felt she was sexy. There were some brothers attracted to her. Some people want to say she was ugly or whatever. You know, I thought she was attractive. But they were saying how they liked how she was crying over a brother. Like, I remember she was breaking down, expressing how she felt with, Flavor Flav. Why you brought me back? Why you brought me back? You know, like they wanted to see that. I guess maybe they feel black women are emotionless. And like Bill Bellamy was making a joke, like black women don't ever cry. Or they feel like I want to yank that out of you, And why would you? I never want to see a brother hurt. I didn't go to certain family like my brothers and sisters' funeral because I didn't want to see my brothers cry. I could never, So that is what is messed up.
Yeah, that's it.
For these brothers, I'm not saying y'all, but for these brothers, anybody who's listening, who think that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I have a sister. I've seen, it was a young female, said she was 13 years old in one of Tommy's videos when I was like first up in here and checking out his channel and all that. She said that she was 13 and these videos were making her really depressed. And I remember that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know, it's no telling how many females this then drove into straight up depression. This younger YouTube watching generation. If they were watching these videos back in 2007, when I went back to college, just imagine how many, 10 years of what I've been witnessing in YouTube. 10 years of this shit. Just imagine. It's going to be really messed up for our sons and daughters. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, I can't imagine coming on YouTube at 12 and 13 years old and looking at 10 years of it. Like I came on in my 30s, and I'm like, I just, fought back. I just started verbally abusing men back pretty much. But
sorry if you hear this alarm, y'all.
Yeah, you have to have a really strong mind to watch some of these videos. You have to have really, so I try not to even pay attention to most of them. But what I wanted to ask y'all too is, when you talked about the gender wars, do you think it's like some of the men trying to get back at their mothers and their fathers? They're angry about the relationships with their parents. So they feel like, okay, I don't like how my mother raised me. I don't like how things went down in my household. Now I want to bash women. Do you also think like that could be a part of it as well?
That might have like 10% to do with it. I believe is what I said. I think it's because they've realized that, I can make money and I can get attention off of it. I can't beat this white man's behind, so I'm gonna go ahead and attack, a group that, nobody's gonna really stand up for. But I mean, yeah, I think issues is definitely a part of it. Maybe, the way they were raised by their mother, that might have something to do with it. But, you notice they never get angry at their absentee fathers or at their fathers when their fathers do stuff. It's just all about the mother. But I think that has probably, like, if I had to take a wild guess, that probably got 10 to 25% to do with why they're quote unquote angry. But I think the real reason is they can't beat who they really want to be, so they tear down who they feel that they can overpower and who won't stand up for, like who's gonna really rush in for black women except us. We the only one that takes up for us, and sometimes some of us throw our hands up. So you just get tired of being the only one out there trying to take up for black women when it's like it just keeps going on and on. And like I told Lashid, even when you try to express yourself, it's like they really don't care. That's what they want. They want you to cry. It's funny to them.
Yeah, that's really messed up. I see Sleepy's comments. I know Sleepy, she been for years. She be coming at me poking. No, I take in everything she said. I take in every single thing that she says. Trust me, I do. You know, the thing is that I can't let that overcome me. I cannot. And I'm gonna tell you, my brothers, if they were to see this shit that's going on YouTube, like what, you know, they would be like, what the hell is this shit? You know, but they not in, you know, honestly though, I know that this is somewhat a reflection. It's like, what is it? The music reflects the times, or the time reflects the music first. You know what I'm saying? But I honestly think in this case, this is a thing of media affecting the times. In this case with this YouTube, you know, because, you know, when I noticed the debating going on when I went back to college with the millennials or the younger generation following me, that's how I learned of certain personalities in YouTube. You know, and I do think, well, we could say it was the times affecting, you know, the media. I really don't think so in this case. I know that we have had issues. Don't get me wrong. But this more specific, the popularity of this gender war, it's so hard to say, because some people could say the movies going back, you know, we can go back to blaxploitation, films like Color Purple, whatever, and rap songs, and you know, we could go back to that, but I don't know, it being more specifically black on black, you know what I'm saying, not just male versus female. Yeah, I mean, it's not a thing of me. I know you're saying grow up and stop, but I have no choice. I have to hang in there. I have no choice.
It's true.
That's the thing. I got no choice unless I just say F black.
Respond to something that constant. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's some kind of delay. I'm sorry about that. But I was going to go back to what Constance was saying about relationships with your mother. You know, like you mentioned that there may be an issue with some of these women bashers, like having bad relationships with their mother, and that perhaps being a motivation behind their hatred towards black women. And I think that that's true. Like one of these people in particular, Tommy, you know, has mentioned like his hatred toward his mother. Like he's actually voiced hostility towards his own mother. So I think that that is part of to blame for this whole gender war. I think that that is a very real issue. And, you know, I know that you all have been here for a while. I don't want to keep you all night, but I want to thank you all for joining the Hangout. And before I go, I want to go through the comments that people left, and we can respond to some of the things that people said in the comments. Lashid was mentioning something that Sleepy said, some of the comments that she left.
Oh, you said Sleepy? Yeah.
You all can bear with me a second. And I want to shout out the people who have made donations. Are you all, can you all hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Oh,
You sound a
okay,
little choppy at times, but you come out clear.
Okay, yeah, hopefully I know that some of the connection has been kind of spotty. Like I've heard like some choppiness on some of the comments. So hopefully this comes out okay. But I want to shout out the people that made donations. Shout out to Just My 4 Cents. Shout out to the real Aaron Collins. Shout out to Doug for making a donation. You know, I appreciate your support. And now I want to go through some of the comments that are here. And if you all notice some comments that you want to respond to, you know, feel free to do so. And someone asked if I was going to do a similar panel for black men. Yes, I plan on doing a similar panel for black men where we gather black men and we have a similar discussion about this issue. And then what I want to do is have a joint panel with black men and women. So it'll probably follow. So the next one will be next week. And then, you know, the following week, we can all get together and discuss these different issues because I think it's a very important issue. So let's see. So Sleepy CCS said that being a black mother means being the community scapegoat. People hate black mothers. Why become one? So that's one of her comments on this issue.
I never thought I'd hear that from black men. I remember them loving their mamas. So
no,
never thought I'd hear that.
Yeah, I think Sleepy is I think that's a lady, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's talking about. But yeah, I mean that's a good point. Like a lot of the black men are blaming black mothers, and they're actually blaming their own mothers in a lot of cases. Man, they're bashing their own mothers when they talk about like women being trifling and being on welfare and having children out of wedlock and all that kind of stuff. So let's some other points that are raised.
Man, that was the thing, though. You wanted to get to a brother, talk about his mama, your mama jokes. I never thought I'd see the day when black men would be bashing their mamas. I'm not saying I have no love and regard for your father. I'm not saying that at all, but I just never thought I'd see that. Hey, but Tommy's a liar. He is a big time liar. He said his mama fed him roaches. He is so full of crap.
Yeah,
How come his brother feel the same way about their mama? He is full of crap. He is the bad seed. Lil Rodale.
Yeah, I mean, he
had a bad relationship with his mother, all like that.
I think
he did a video with his mama a while back ago. Like I'm not saying he had a perfect relationship, but I don't think it was all that bad. I just think he needed an excuse to do what he was doing because he was eating and making that money. So
I think he lies about all the threats. So he can have a reason to say you need an army of Zimmerman to kill niggas. You know, he's so full of crap. One minute his mom was evil, the next he's worried about her getting threatened. Yeah, whatever. You can see I just be waiting. Can I get some good news? Good news is bad news on him. I can't stand his ass. And every time I think I got some good news, I'm disappointed. He been knocked out. He been punched. But then I click in, I don't see a damn punch.
Right.
So please call me. Contact me when y'all got some real good news on him.
Yeah, I have. Well, I don't even pay attention to him unless somebody I'm having to say something. But other than that, I don't really.
Yeah, I don't go to this channel.
Somebody accused me of being secretly subbed to these. I said, actually, I'm not. You know, I'm like, I don't even really pay them no mind. But if I'm watching a video and they happen to mention something, if I feel that it's different or juicy enough, like the punch, I wanted to see him.
Oh, I was running to see that.
I'm like, okay, so the man had this camera all along, and the moment he get punched, the camera goes off of him.
Right, that was probably scripted. So he did the bad pro-blacks, you know.
Yeah, no bruises, no bloody nose, no nothing. I mean, he put fake blood on his nose just to make it seem a little bit. I'm like, come on, dude. Unless a little girl slapped him, maybe his daughter hit him. I don't know, but it wasn't no man that hit him.
Man,
that was staged.
Yeah, I'm believing that too. Straight up disappointed me.
Yeah, so somebody mentioned the whole drug problem in the black community as being partly to blame for the collapse of the black family. Like, you know, I'm sure that they're probably talking about crack, like the impact crack had on the black community.
That's what messed up my family. I'm not gonna lie. That's what actually destroyed my family, not my mama being a widow. Not that my mama went to it, but her children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think drugs definitely played a role in the black community. That's probably one of the major roles that it played. The drugs.
Mm-hmm. People ain't even looking at that.
Probably anything.
I was thinking about that earlier when y'all were talking.
Yeah,
because it's like a lot of young black men got locked up behind the drug trade, and a lot of black men got killed behind it. So that destroyed a large number of black men. That's a large segment of black men being absent from the community, and that has an impact on, you know, child rearing and you know, the creation of future families and stuff like that. When you have this large number of men out of the market, you know, either in jail or dead. So it makes it more difficult for Black women in their choices for spouses and all that stuff.
And then if a woman is strung out, I mean, just imagine what type of mother she would be, you know.
Right, exactly.
Right, you got a lot of this. Yeah, and a lot of these kids of this generation, they are, I don't want to say crack babies, but they were still affected by crack in some way or another. You got a lot of children who were raised, and I know this in my family, raised by their grandparents. The grandparent already stressed out because she's watching her kids and fail to drugs and stuff, you know, so she can't raise these grandchildren, you know, and give them the straight up love and nurture that she could and would, because she's stressed out looking at her family members and her own children. There's a lot of these cases. I just lost like a step cousin like a couple weeks ago. He was shot in Chicago, you know, and it's crazy because my auntie, her first children, you know, from her first marriage, they were decent, but then her second, because she had gotten, you know, hooked on crack, and we're definitely seeing that, and nobody's looking at that. They're just saying the single mom. You've been at single moms for a minute. You know, they are forgetting the impact of crack cocaine, and we have all been in one way or another affected. Even if we didn't have some people in our immediate family, this definitely had an impact, you know, definitely. Yeah. Reaganomics.
And someone else, Psychopathia, mentioned that, like, you know, we hear about a lot of this Black women hatred on YouTube, but he said, like, in his neighborhood, like in his community, he doesn't see all this anti-Black women hatred. And, you know, it reflects like this exaggerated environment that we live in. Like in YouTube, it's like things get blown more out of proportion and exaggerated because, like, you know, the hatred that I hear on YouTube is not the same kind of attitude that you hear in the community. And maybe it's suppressed, like in the community. Maybe people don't feel comfortable, like, outwardly expressing it. But there is a difference between, like, the real experience and what happens on social media. What do y'all think about that?
I agree and don't agree. Like, I don't think people are as vocal about it, but I think in some cases they're acting how I can't really explain it. Like, I think I mentioned to you a while back, I'm like, well, you probably don't really see what we see because of the channel that you run and the profession that you're in and your religious affiliation. You're probably exposed to more strong men, and, you know, whereas I kind of grew up in an environment, and I'm not saying this is all Black men, but I grew up in an environment where men, they weren't protecting, you know, my immediate family of men, they weren't protective of the women, you know. But no, they don't walk around calling us hair hats or nothing like that. But, you know, it's just done in a different way, I think, in real life, and depending on what environment you're in.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That might be why, like, even myself, you know, I'm from the hood or whatever you want to say. My mother really came from a middle class family, to be honest. We just ended up in the ghetto. But she came from, like, these stereotypes about Black people in Chicago. No, you had a lot of strong Black communities. A lot of the people on my grandmother's block on the west side, nothing but Black people. These are Black people who own their homes and stuff. Like I said, when I used to go to the Kingdom Hall, all Black. Chicago's a very separated city, all Black, but they would be full families. You know what I'm saying? These weren't bougie Black neighborhoods necessarily. You know, and I, like I said, my brothers, they'd be like, what? If they were to see what was going on in YouTube with all this. And even when I was, like, sexually assaulted and stuff, especially, you know, becoming a runaway and all that, you know, I didn't see it as this is something Black men do. I never saw it like that. For one, when I was in girls' homes, I was in survivors groups, you know, for rape victims and stuff. And they were all type of females. This white female that, you know, was one why she was so angry all the time. Her father used to come in her bed, you know, and just have sex. And I just never could imagine what the hell that's got to be like. Your father coming in your room every night and, you know, having sex with you, raping you like that. I mean, it was girls of different races, you know, so I didn't see it necessarily as a Black man thing. I just noticed that when it comes to the sympathy factor, you know, with Black women. And I'm not going to lie. And some of the reaction from Black women, it's not as nurturing. I'll put it that way. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference that I noticed. Like when a Black woman is right, just like you had a YouTube up in the air, making me feel bad for talking, mentioning it. I'm like, I throw it in people's face. I'm like, what are you talking about? I be chilling and shit in my hangouts. But you see, that's that tactic to make a Black female feel guilty. You know what I'm saying? To even mention these things. You don't see that done with white females. That's the only difference I saw. But as in rape and female, I never saw that as something Black men do. I never saw it like that. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been with different females and heard different horror stories being in girls' homes, group homes and shit like that. And I could tell you some horror stories from white females and Latina females and shit. So yeah, this has been especially what I've witnessed, definitely in cyber. And I ain't saying this ain't going on, but I can't imagine if I didn't have my brothers and my uncles and certain people I knew in my life. My good uncles, that is. I got some bad ones though. But
I'm going to check to see if there are any other comments to respond to. If you all see comments that you want to respond to, feel free. I don't know if all of you can see the chat room.
I haven't even been looking at the chat. It's scrolling up so fast, I can't even really.
Perhaps, why not now? Perhaps. You know.
Yeah, shout out to Why Not Now. She made some comments about that CDC study saying that I cite that a lot, but you know, we need to have more committed relationships in the Black community. And that's a valid point. And also Sleepy CCS mentioned that, you know, the whole statistics as well, saying that it mainly applied to single men, you know, so that's Black men are more involved in other groups of single men. So that, and she also pointed out how other men tend to be married more often, like white men in particular. So that's, you know, that's a valid point. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and, I just want more understanding of Black women. Even if you ain't got to agree with everything, you just understand. You know what I'm saying? I think we really do, as sisters, do try to understand Black men. We have been trying to do that. And I really think we need to be more appreciated. Really. Really, brothers. You know, some people say I'm sounding like a mammy begging for affection, you know, whatever. But I'm just keeping it real because I know when it boils down to it, we ain't got no damn choice unless you just want to perish. We ain't got no choice. We ain't got no choice. We're going to have to figure some shit out or just let it go. And like I also tell brothers, is when Black women stop giving a fuck and stop talking about, you know, that's when you got to worry. You know, see, sisters like me, we still give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? But when you get, because I swear when I used to be at them forums and we be, okay, whether we talking about Kanye or whatever and Kim, them ones that was in them interracial relationships and stuff, they never joined in them conversations with us so-called angry Black women. They didn't care. They seriously, you know, then you could tell them ones who do care deep down and they come off more bitter. But those like myself who would talk about these things and shake our head, you know, not necessarily hating Black men, you know, those are the ones who still have hope for Black relationships. The ones who were straight up married to a white man, they didn't care. They never joined them conversations with us because they really didn't give a shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I found odd about like a Kristen Terrazin, you know, even though she's married to a white man and is living happily ever after and all that kind of stuff, she continues to like bash Black men. And you see a lot of these other people, like Black men, do this as well, like who are in these relationships with white women. They still find the need to be concerned about the affairs of Black women. And I don't get what that's about. Like I'm wondering if these people still have like issues that they're still struggling with, and they still have a secret desire to be with Black men or Black women or whatever. Because it seems like if you moved on and you're beyond Black and white, why are you still talking about Black men or Black women?
Right. This is what I witnessed. Like brothers I talked with on forums that just happened to be with white women. This one brother talked with on music. This was a while back though. You know, he never really feel the need to remind us he got a, you know, white wife or, you know. in a way that some could say that's kind of messed up, because that means he's moved on in a sense when it comes to Black people. But the thing is, if you content as you claim, I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't still defend Black women or Black men, because you're still a Black woman and Black man. I'm not saying you cannot at all speak on these things, but, you know, if you ain't got to, why
Right.
you know, when it comes to intimate, I don't know.
I think it, well, I can't speak for her. I just think it's probably what she's observing, you know, observing around her. But I mean, I want to know what specifically, how does she bash Black men? I want to know, because they say that she's like, I'm not saying you're saying it, but some people like she's another Tommy Sotomayor. I'm like,
no, I don't think that. No,
maybe I'm being biased, but I'm like, what is she saying specifically?
Yeah,
that's bash.
I wouldn't put her on the level of a Tommy Sotomayor, but she's, you know, like she constantly promotes negative stereotypes about Black men. You know, she constantly promotes these other groups of men over Black men. Like, for instance, like I did a video recently about these African women dating and marrying Chinese men. And she basically, like, it's one thing to say, well, somebody happens to fall in love with somebody of a different race, whatever, you know, that's one thing. But to say that these Chinese men are a better option for African women, you know, that expresses some hostility. I mean, she has done videos where she said that Black men are that awful, Black men are that disgusting. I mean, these are words out of her own mouth. She said that Black men are on the losing team. You know, that's how she has described Black men. Those are just a few examples. And, you know, her whole channel, you know, she claims that she's about being beyond Black and white. But yet and still, like, she doesn't feature any Black couples on her channel. Like, if she's about character and character alone, you would see different types of couples, different races or whatever. But for the most part, all her videos where she has these hangouts with these couples are Black women with white men. Every now and then she'll toss in like some token Asians or Latinos, but for the most part, it's about promoting this white man as some kind of savior for the Black woman. That's the problem, you know. So that's, you know, that's my whole deal with her, man. So it's not, you know, I couldn't care less about her having her own individual preference or whatever. The problem is when you promote this idea that somehow that this white man is some kind of savior for the Black woman, and you promote this idea that there's something wrong with Black men, when you promote this idea that good Black men are like unicorns, and we know that unicorns are like characters.
Yeah,
you know? So those are the issues I have with her. I wouldn't say that she's as bad as a Tommy Sotomayor or anything like that. You know, there's no comparison, but she still promotes a lot of negative stereotypes about Black men.
But
so,
you can't.
You know,
but you cannot say it's unwarranted, though. I mean, if that's how you see it, it's not. It's not like she just. I mean, I don't know her personally. I don't know her motives, but I guess maybe I am being biased because I am a Black woman, but I guess I'm seeing it from the position of there is an overflow of Black women that they're not really neutral like me. There are actually Black women that really want to be married and really want to have children and don't want to wait until they're 55 years old to meet for this man to be finally ready to get married. And, you know, I think that's probably why she's pushing. And I'm speculating because I don't know her, but I think that's probably why she's pushing in that direction, because if we keep going in the route that we're going, we're going to be like that. What's that Nature Boy dude? We're going to be having men like him to hook up with, where we got to share them and go to the tropics. And, you know, we're going to be in some messed up situations if we keep on trying to hold on to one in particular race of men. You see what I'm saying? So,
yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think
I'm not going to really comment on the things you say, but I understand why she's probably going that route, because come on, New Possibilities, you know, if everybody tried to get with someone like you would need about it would be probably what, three women to one of you, or 4 women to one man like you. So it's like not everybody want a man share. Some people, you know, want a man of their own, and that's probably why she's pushing towards, you know, seek other options and all that. But I mean,
I
I'm not gonna
It's one thing. My thing is like it's one thing to say you should open yourself up to other options. It's quite another thing to promote and idolize the white man. You know, so those
Right,
are two separate
that's the issue I got.
and that's the
That's
problem
my
that I have.
main issue. You can say it's just about my hatred of white people, whatever. But I just see it as
you gotta kind of like, you know, if you're trying to promote something, you gotta
white
dress it up.
man.
If I wanted you to buy something of mine, I'm gonna try to make it look as good and shiny as possible. It's kind of like a business move as well. I mean, that's what, just like with TS, you know, he got to make black women look as bad as possible for his brand to, you know, shine. I think it's a horrible brand.
But we talking about the white man.
So you're gonna try to make your product. You know, but like I said, from my perspective, I understand, because like I said, if we keep on waiting on that good black man, we're gonna have to either man share, or we're gonna have to be with Nature Boy, and we're gonna have to go to the tropics with him and share him, and that's gonna be our fate.
I don't even know. That's why it's hard for me to speak because you know I got my Bible and we supposed to stay. It's been confirmed to me. These are things I wasn't shown in the Bible before. Before, when I first came to YouTube, I was like, well, I can't. I'm just gonna promote interracial love, but I can't stop people from getting love wherever they can get it. Even though I know people abuse that word love. Oh, I just happen to fall in love with this white person. Yeah, right. But you know, now, no, I'll say no. I think that's what I look at too, because I'm looking at her. She's beautiful. She's intelligent. This and that. Like, he's supposed to be promoting you, dear. If we need any sort of promotion, that's how I'm seeing it. I don't want us looking thirsty, and it's not just about an image. It's not, and it's just white men. They're the ones who, you can't overlook the fact that they set this system up. I have said I've seen people in Crystalline's videos that have also been in Tommy's videos. You know, we can't, I know I'm not speaking for every white man, blah, 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 but we can't overlook that. We can't ignore that. You know what I'm saying? It just, okay, you won't, I don't know, but that's a platform. Because to me, it's not beyond black and white. It's like beyond black towards white. You know, that's how I see it. And like I said, it only be white men. I can't say because I ain't looked at her videos like that. Now, when people first tell, oh, why don't you confront Crystalline? And I was like, I don't really see what she's saying that's so bad, you know. And then you did have the video, MP, with you show where she co-signed something. And I think what I got a problem with actually, some of the people who the associates, and I think they may be affecting her. She got some bitter associates that I don't approve of, and I don't even feel love from them as black women. I'm gonna be honest. Some of the statements they've said, you know, it just don't sound very much like they love black women as they claim. I think they want to. Some of them want to. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I've spoken with, you know, someone had gave Crystalline Cares in my Facebook, and I was like kind of surprised. And she was very, very pleasant. She didn't come off disrespectful in any sort of way towards me, you know, so I didn't get anything nasty from her, but perhaps it's a thing of who she's associating with. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people felt that people I may have been associated with had influence on me, making me angrier or something like that, even though I'm a grown woman and I take responsibility for my actions. But like I said, to me, it's just this promotion. I still see it as a promotion of non-black women and a demotion of black men, which is a demotion of black family. I don't know. But I mean, personally, I don't think she's necessarily a bad person, but the agenda is dangerous to us as a people. That's what I feel.
But platform, you know what? In order for the black community to work, the black man have to participate in making it. You know, so I feel like, again, as far as in particular statements that she made, I can't really speak on that. But as far as her platform, I will admit, I feel like I understand why it exists. I'll put it that way. I understand why it exists, because there is far more women than it is men in terms of, you know, a man being available. And I'm talking about a a marriage material man. Now, yeah, we can get a Pookie, you know, but I'm talking about marriage material, men that care about the community, you know, men that's not in videos talking about black women need to tighten up. You know, it's just so much dysfunction out there. And then the younger generation, you know, what they say is I think my nieces said that some boys at her school said it's born if it ain't foreign or something like that. Talking about basically women, like it's born if it's not foreign, like they're uplifting foreign women, younger guys in the generation beneath us. So to sit up, I just kind of feel like, and y'all might disagree, I just feel like I you know, I think black love is beautiful if it, you know, when it is in existence, but I think it's almost like a setup because see, black men or young black boys aren't being trained to think that black love is beautiful, except, you know, the polites and the nature boys, you know, and then, you know, that's a different, yeah, I can keep going back to it. Those are the men that think black women are beautiful, and brother polites and nature boys and people like that. And then that's who we're going to be stuck with if we want to feel beautiful in our black skin, you know? So, you know, why the younger generation of men are getting trained and told that, you know, foreign is better than black women. You know, I'm like, go to the women in Kenya. Why don't y'all, for some reason, I don't think they mean foreign women as in Kenyan women.
I kind of know that too.
So why the younger generation is being trained to think that, you know, lighter and brighter is better and silky hair is better, you know, black women are still almost, you know, we're still holding on, and we're still trying to give black women hope. And again, you know, you're going to be with who you're closer to just by proximity. So I think that the black race is going to go on in that sense. But like I said in one of my videos, you know, what if the guy end up getting rich, or what if he do become successful? We shouldn't have to worry, is he going to jump ship and go to a whole new different race and give them their resources? You see what I'm saying? And then you wondering why the community is always at this low level when it comes to economics, when it comes to just unity, period, you know? So it's like black men, for the most part, unless they, you know, are in some type of religion that promotes black love, a lot of them, they'll jump ship once they feel like they're successful enough to do it, you know? And black women are getting a steady diet of something totally different, thinking that, you know, hey, you know, black love, you know, and black love do exist, because I have neighbors and, you know, they're married. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying we're being, black men and black women are being trained to see love in totally different ways, you know. And that's why when you look and you do a Google search on some random celebrity, if he's a male, 80% of the time he's gonna be with somebody that don't look like you.
Yeah, we've been seeing this way before 1965. Exactly. Yeah. You can go back to old days of Hollywood. That's why I'm saying I understand Crystal and Karazin's platform. Again, everything she say, I can't say that I agree with, but I understand why the platform exists. You know, and if you see this over and over again, you might get a little bit bitter or whatever the case may be, because it's like, dang, I'm like, you can't be loyal to a guy. You can't say, you can't say deuces to the black race, or else you a bad win. So you just got to just sit there and basically take whatever's dished out to you, whether it's good or bad, while black men are encouraged to, you know, seek greener pastures and all that. And it's like, you know, so I understand the platform, you know, but you know, I don't agree on either end. It's so hard because it's a sensitive issue, you know, because I know I was like alone for like 10 years before, you know, so I know that this is very sensitive. It's easy to talk, oh, sit and wait for, as they used to taunt us, the swirlers at the forum. They taunt us talking about we wait for our black Kangs. Kangs. They used to taunt us, we're waiting for our black Kangs, taking cold showers. But, you know, It is, and, you know, I used to secretly laugh at some of them, even if they was clowning me too. But so I know it's easy for me to talk this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I know this is a sensitive issue. You know, because it's like you're asking women, and being that we just outnumbered men, and you got to consider certain situations with men being brothers being locked up, and and so I know that. There are going to be those of us without, who was that? Jay Black or somebody gave a statistic of how there are going to be 1 million Black women without a man, like in looking at the population and Black women versus Black men. And you have to consider those who are incarcerated and those who may be homosexual or with someone already. And so there's going to be, and so it's really hard for me to say, but I'm going to stick to the Bible say this. I know y'all, that's, hey.
Yeah.
And I understand why this is said.
Everybody got to make
it. Promoting non-Black men. And white men, I just can't get with it. I just can't get with this promotion. No, you going to promote me. I'm not saying I need any white man to promote, but hell no. It's just I can't get with that. I don't.
Me personally, like I said, it don't really matter to me in terms of me dating. Like I said, I'll talk to a white dude, but I mean, it's not like I'm specifically seeking a white man in particular. It's like if a Black man show up and we're compatible, that's fine. If a white man, or I can't really say Asian because I think only one kind of flirted with me a little bit, but it's not a lot of Asians where I stay at, unless they working in one of those hair salons or Asian stores, beauty supplies, but it's not a lot of Asians that hit on me. The main ones that kind of like flirt with me is the ones at the store, the Arabs, and
they always.
Yeah. And occasionally every blue moon maybe a white man. Now online, white men always, they hit me up just as much as Black men. So that study about Black women being the least desired, I'm like, on my end, I get about just as many responses from white men that I do as Black men, but that's online. But it's a lot of, you got to weed out a lot of bull crap with that. So that's why I'm on pause right now. I'm like, I'm just chilling right now, and when I get ready to date, I guess I'll get back out there. But right now, I'm kind of on pause. You got to weed them out either way, whether they white, Black, or whatever race. So.
And I was going to say, where were these white men with these shootings? Where are these white men in? When Crystalline Carrison when that one white dude, vegan egg or whatever, had disrespected her and she was being clowned and shit, where were those white men in? You know what I'm saying? These white male supporters. You got to look at that. Where are they with the shooting? Okay, where are them with Sandra Bland being lynched? Where, you know what I'm saying? Where are these white men? That's what, I got to look at that. And I'm not talking about, I'm not going to look at that one guy or that one white woman or that one, I'm not going to look, or those who they got an issue with a statue not being taken down. But, they have more concern about a statue. Then they'll protest racism. That's easy. Where are these white men at? You know what I'm saying? That when we really need, not when Black women just need, they need a Black mate. But where are they really when Black people are in? I'm going to look at that. So don't come around now like you want to play hero and white knight in shining armor. And just like I say, we ain't got no choice. That's how I feel about it. We ain't got no choice as a people. We see the times that we are living in. We have to stick together. Like I keep saying, it's just we ain't got no choice. We got to learn to work this shit out somehow.
It's up to them. It's up to the men. It's up to the men.
Yeah, they gotta take the first step though. They gonna have to take, if this thing looking at the single Black mama, it's not happening. It's not happening. And you can get with non-Black people, you are not going to be happy. And I know this because you wouldn't be up in here, continuously bitching. The Otay Waxons, they wouldn't be up in here continuously bitching and moaning and complaining. You're not going to be happy. It's the bottom line. You ain't happy because you can't.
And the pickup artists is like we need the men. That's really about, you know, the community. But what we got is, you know, whining and complaining and pick up artists telling guys how to hit it and quit it and all that. That's who they're listening to. They're not listening to the Lennon Honors. They're listening to the
That's another good problem.
They're listening to all the. It's like any man that's dysfunctional. It's like it seems like they gravitate to them. You know, the Obscenians and all those type of people. It's like men just gravitate to dysfunction, and I'm like, y'all the one that like the bad boys. You know,
right? And they don't realize these men are pulling them down. They ain't got nobody. They just want them to be as miserable as them. They don't realize this. Like, how are you gonna listen to men? I can even see those being fools for Tariq Nasheed. And Tariq, a lot of he be doing like the thing with him in Brazil, showing out. Look at these women, showing out. But I can even see with Tariq. I can even see with him. Why is you listening? Okay, how you listen to Otay Waxon talk about? Do you honestly think that he been with all these women, that he could give advice on how black women are versus white women versus Hispanic? Come on, keep it real. Keep it real. Ain't nobody going for no doctorate degree and you on the computer that damn much. I know from when I was in college, I didn't have time to do shit.
For him to, you know, be my doctor, because I'm like, you was on YouTube for like 20 hours. I'm like, you got time to study.
When I was back in college, I'm telling you, all that homework your ass be hit with. I can't even imagine you pursuing a doctorate degree. I can't even. There's no way. How could you listen? And it ain't just about how he looked, you know, because there's brothers, and I'm so tired. Don't use that excuse. There are brothers that I straight up like this dude. I knew Frank. He was overweight, this and that, but I had the biggest crush on this dude. You know, I used to like Jay-Z. Think that he was, you know, people people think is ugly because, you know, they had a certain character.
You could be slightly ugly, but yet still have that pull and attraction, you know.
Right, women don't look at that hard as men do. I definitely know this. Look at some of them men that Kristen cares and be suggesting. I'll be some ugly white men.
Black guy that I used to date. I used to date one black guy. I used to date one black guy, and if he were to come online and said he ever like messed around with me, I would deny it. You know, I was like, I don't know who he is. You know, but I'm saying that to say I've been with, you know.
Right, man.
I'm telling you, like you just go down in the basement when company come over. Just stay down there. So, yeah, you can still, you know.
Yeah, I believe when they said Biggie, it would be women swarming. Look, him was crazy for that man. It ain't just about money and all that.
That's true.
You know, look, him love that dude. You can see she loved that dude.
I don't know if
it ain't just about that. It's about he had a certain stance, obviously. You know, you can say, oh, he was a bad boy, this and that. It's not necessarily that. It's not. You know, like you know, Jay-Z, you know, there's something about him, you know, it's something they're going to automatically, see these men who ain't really studying stuff, they're going to automatically think it's about money. Oh, he's a bad boy. No, they don't get it because they're listening to Otay Waxons and all of these losers in YouTube, giving them wrong. If it ain't a loser, then it's just a guy who got money and he knows the reason he got these women because he got money and he's showing off going to Brazil and showing off all the women. You know, look at what I got. Ha ha ha. Look what I got.
But you got to understand, those men be tricking though. It's not like women be flocking to because they so nice. They be tricking money off on them.
No women probably trying to get out the damn country.
And none of them, and if you notice, they ain't marrying them. You notice they coming right back to America single, or they might end up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they be tricking, talking about, you know, these women are better, and you know they know how to treat a man. I would know. Yeah, you paying. Yeah, they gonna know how to treat you. If you paying,
you got this bimbo in a hotel with you, and she don't even know you. I don't know if anybody know the video I'm talking about. But she don't even know you. She went back with it. You say, oh, but she doesn't have a funky attitude. She says hi back to you. Like, she goes back to a hotel with you and she don't even know you. What does that say? Come on now. You know you wouldn't put up that stuff for me, Sister TV. All kind of hoes.
Exactly.
And that's the thing too. If you're gonna get another sister say that there are women outside of the United States, forgive me, brothers, y'all, but I gotta say this because I seen a video recently. If you going, okay, why is it always okay, a female from Brazil? Okay, why don't you go to the part where real sisters in Brazil are? I think these females would be a lot humbler, sweeter, not the ones who are shaking ass in some parade or something. But you know, I'm not seeing them. It's like they know deep down they're hoping to get something biracial, so-called exotic looking. Just like, oh, African, like somebody on my Facebook, he shared this collage of beautiful African women. And these women look like they were, and I'm not saying, I've shown in my Egypt video that you got a lot of black people in Africa with hair that is not quite, you know, as tightly curled as ours because they're from a desert climate. But I'm talking about these Abyssinians who don't want to be known as Cushites, that are a lot of them mixed with Arab, white Caucasian Arab, that is. But they're saying, I love African women. Okay, well, what about, why don't you show more women from Nigeria?
Excuse me,
or Ghana?
I'm going to have to go because I'm very tired.
Yeah, I was
doing it. I really appreciate it. I understand.
But I see what you're saying, Lashid, because they don't want they don't want a black looking woman. That's why they're not getting the ones.
Yeah, so those are just excuses. There are a lot of beautiful sisters that are not from the Horn of Africa, and even many from the Horn of Africa who are, you know, but
so I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining this hangout. I truly appreciate you spending your time discussing these issues. Again, I plan to have a follow-up hangout, so I hope you all can join for that hangout. Again, I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody that watched the video, that commented in the chat room. You know, I want to especially thank those who made donations. I truly appreciate your support. Again, I thank Warrior Queen Speaks. I thank Lashid4U and Nellie for joining the panel.
Thank you.
Peace, everybody.
All right.
And thank you again. This has been positive.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.